understand this and hear this. And I need you to open up your ears and hear this. Nobody wants you here. They never wanted you here. That whole locker room's afraid to say it. Not me. So get out. And stop smirking at me like you did the other day. Or I'll smack you right off your face.
And after I beat you, something very unsettling is going to happen. After I win, you people are finally going to get to see the real CM Punk. The CM Punk who loses his fake smile the second he doesn't get what he wants. The CM Punk who blames all of his failures on everyone else but himself. The CM Punk who, if he feels like he hasn't gotten his just due, he's more than willing to sue. Your same hero who claimed on his almighty return August 13th, 2005, I left professional wrestling. August 20th, 2021, I'm back. Will soon say on February 2nd, I'm leaving wrestling again. I can't do it. And not because I'm afraid I'd get fired when I go back through the curtain. And not because I'm afraid of you, that's for damn sure. But the more I thought about what I really wanted to say about you, the more I realized it's exactly what you would do. And I don't think fighting your hatred, your pettiness, your cowardice is more the same. I don't think it's the right thing to do. But I will tell you, face-to-face, man-to-man, how I feel about you. I don't hate you. I almost pity you. And I have no respect for you and what you've done since you've gotten here. You want this AEW World Championship. You want it. I don't think you understand what it means to be a champion after all these years. I don't think you get it, because it's not just about what happens in this ring. It's what happens when that red light turns off. What happens when you go back through the curtain, those small, quiet moments when you think no one's watching. That's what makes a champion. You talk a big game about workers' rights, yeah? Well, you've shown the exact opposite since you've gotten here. I love this place. I care about this place. This is my home. And this Sunday at Double or Nothing, I will not be defending this championship against you. No, for the first time in my life, I will be defending all elite wrestling from you. Last time I checked, though, was a slap in the face when he claimed that he left in 2005, because that ain't the truth. Truth is, he left all of you, and he left all the fans who loved him and supported him when he was scheduled to make an appearance right here in Cleveland, Ohio, back in 2014. But he no-showed, and he turned his back on each and every one of you. What makes you think he won't do it again? And you watching at home on the silver screen, yeah, I'm talking to you. You think he gives a damn that you spent the last 7 years chanting his name at the top of your lungs? Yeah. I got news for you. All those chants aren't gonna stop him from turning his back on you again and then crying about it on a podcast.
Look, we both know that you only came to AEW because you ran out of money, so don't give me that. Being the best is about heart and soul and guts and fighting spirit, and we both know that you ran out of fighting spirit a long time ago.
Yes, welcome back once again to another edition of Oh No Wrestling. And boy, oh boy, do I think we have a night in store for, well, you, but I think also in store for us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Owen. I am your Sharp Break Kid. Join with me tonight, and tonight alone is our good friend, Matthew, the modern day Maharaja. How are you, my good brother, sir?
Drinking it in, brother. Drinking it in.
Drinking it in. I'm wearing the shirt for you. Our illustrious predictions champion is unable to be with us this evening.
He's on a roll.
He's on a roll, and he is taking the belt on a tour. He told me he's going to Las Vegas. And
going to Mecca.
Yeah, I think he might. Who knows? With him, he's gonna gamble that belt away. I know what he's gonna do. Or is he gonna Jericho it, leave it at a Longhorn Steakhouse?
He's gonna leave it at a Longhorn Steakhouse.
Or he leaves it at Mecca. That would be appropriate.
I might be the one there to pick it up. I think we should go there and pretend to be servers.
Yeah.
And then we'll serve them. Then remember like when we snuck in for Double or Nothing?
Oh,
and we
yeah.
surprised them. But we should actually do a bit where we're like the servers, and then we beat them up and take the title.
One day. Oh, so it's like 24/7 rules now. We just like, all right, on the spot predictions. What's going on? College softball. Let's predict it right now.
Yeah. Prediction: you're losing your title right now.
Yeah. Either way, it's been a long weekend of wrestling, but an even sort of weirdly longer morning and Monday of wrestling, say drama, talk, content, all those things wrapped into one. So we're gonna do things slightly different tonight, and we're gonna hit it right off, right at the top, because there is so much to discuss. But we have to talk. We're gonna do this thing in reverse, sort of chronological order, right? Like we're gonna talk about the media scrum and then go backwards as to within the weekend, which is, I think, a good way to do it. The media scrum, all the drama today is what a lot of people are going to be wanting to hear about at the beginning anyway. But all that feeds into one after another. And I think that there is even a grander story being told when it comes to even when you get back to, Saturday afternoon. Weird it was so early. For you, it was still technically in the AM, I want to say, right?
Yeah, so it was one of those things where I forgot. I knew it was on a time difference, but I still thought it was going to be like a little bit later than what it was. So I woke up and I was like, oh shit. And I was like, I do have some errands to do because I've been traveling the last month, right? And I was like, going to be home next week. I need to fucking actually get some food in the house, some booze, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, fuck, it was like 9:30 in the morning. And I was like, shit, dude, I'm like drinking my coffee. I was like, I got to get rolling right now.
Because I'm going to miss this thing. Yeah.
I'm trying to fucking hit a Costco, and a Costco on a Saturday morning, that's a fucking beast in and of itself. And
yeah,
so
it is.
I can't say that I did make it back, but I was the fucking smark and I was the asshole in Costco because it was my last stop. I had to make a couple stops. That was my last one. I did watch the first match and a half on my phone.
On your phone.
It set up on something like this with my AirPods in.
That's fine.
I almost hit a couple of people, and then I had it set up in my car while I was driving back. I was watching the road, but it was just for the audio. And I could glance at a red light,
Yeah.
So I watched the first match and a half on the phone, but I was there, man. Yeah, I was watching on the Peacock app, and man, it's interesting to have a pay-per-view for us at that time. I don't necessarily hate it.
No, I think it's cool.
If we had more of it, it's I wish I was better prepared. I would have had a fucking barbecued something or you know what I'm saying?
And on Labor Day weekend, what a great opportunity if this becomes another big wrestling weekend. What a great opportunity for them to do stuff like this in the future, right? It's a great time for them to do it. But
it is.
But we'll get to
All Out's always on a Labor Day weekend, though.
Right. And we'll get to that in just a second. We'll get to Clash at the Castle probably last. And there's a reason I want to do that. Again, I think there's an overall story that even like will bookend it when we even talk about Clash at the Castle. But we need to start at the end to get to the beginning of this whole wrestling weekend. And that starts in the very early hours of Monday morning. You know, I think the media scrum started somewhere around 1:30 a.m. Eastern time. So their time probably 12:30, right?
Chicago
Somewhere.
12:30.
Yeah.
It was 11:30 my time.
Sure, yeah. So pretty soon after the pay-per-view, and Punk had not been. It was probably around 30 minutes from the end of him going from backstage to, you know, and he probably had probably even less than that. He probably had a 20-minute break, right? In between the match and starting that media scrum. Probably not that long, I would guess. Maybe 30. Who the fuck knows? Sure, we could, if we were real journalists, we could figure that out. Not really my prerogative.
We're real journalists. We've had media passes.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
We know why wrestlers don't have pets and things like that. Some things other journalists don't necessarily.
We cover
know,
the hard hitting
questions.
topics. Like what sort of beer does Glacier like? You know, like that's
exactly.
Those are the real hard hitting topics that we cover over at Ono Wrestling. Either way,
every time I see a backflash though, or something of Brutus the Beefcake Butcher, fucking dude, I literally crack up to myself because we were trying. Remember, he just eyed us, and he was eyeing Yumi and Duncan the whole time. Like, why are you not coming to talk to me? You're talking to everyone else with your microphone.
Yeah, you're talking to Greg Valentine. Why aren't you talking to me?
Yeah.
We're just like, all of us agree. We're just like, no, I'm good on.
And he was looking at us like
he wanted it.
Some. He wanted some. Oh no.
Yeah, he did. He didn't get it.
Nah.
Maybe that'll bite us in the ass one of these days, but I highly doubt that one. So no, we had this all out media scrum, with Tony Khan in the center seat, as he's apt to do on these pressers, these media scrums. And at least
Tripp sits off to the side.
And first out of the gate, we have CM Punk, your new AEW champion, showing up, and he's got a couple cakes from a bakery, it looks like. He's got some dessert cakes. He's got a bag of fizzy waters or something, and he's there, and he's still in his white long boys gear. He's got a towel around his neck. He has still got plenty of blood all over him, and he sits down to talk to the media. And from what I have seen, the first question doesn't even get out of the journalist's mouth before CM Punk goes off, first off, on all media. He says, do you call yourself a journalist? All these types of things. He questions integrity and, fake news, all that type of stuff in a weird way. And he starts off, this guy doesn't nick something or other. He doesn't get a word out of his mouth before CM Punk first off lashes out at the media in general, the wrestling media, saying that lies have been perpetrated about him and his relationship with, of course, his old best friend, but now nemesis, Colt Cabana, or Stephen Coltman. Stephen Coltman? Did I get that right?
Yeah. No, it was. Is it Stephen Colton? Yeah, Scott Colton.
Scott. Sorry, I knew it was close, but not right there. So. Sure, everybody has seen it by now, and I don't need to go into every detail of what Punk said, but I want to cover some specifics of this presser. And first off, how did it make you feel watching Tony Khan squirm in the way Tony Khan squirmed during this presser, Matthew? Awkward?
Like, yeah, awkward. I mean, you're the fucking boss. Step the fuck up. Like, say something. You can cut this motherfucker off. He might be your champion, but you own the fucking company. You own that belt. He may have earned that belt, but you can fucking take it away. Like, if it's not a work, you can fucking.
Well, this is it.
100%. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you are the owner of the fucking company. So, for him not to do a fucking like, maybe he shouldn't have been sitting there for that, right? Unless what they're going for is the work that like. He's gone into so much business for himself that he thinks he's fucking running AEW, which this was like with all of the shit with Chicago and blah, 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 like his promos and just like rewatching before that match, just like the media package and like hearing some of his promos and stuff. He's like, Chicago's a bunch of fighters. Chicago's this. Chicago. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like every fucking city. You're like any town USA, bro. Like, it just happens to be a big wrestling town. It's Chicago. Like, you guys, like, all these people in the building don't do this. They do the same shit everyone else in every other fucking building does. Like, they're not, you know, but I know it gets them hype, but, like, I think he did so much of that. They gave him the moment.
Yeah.
Right? In Chicago. And now this was how you turn him heel. Because if you have to have someone who can verbally jab and go in a fucking sparring match back and forth with someone like MJF.
Well, let's hang on here for a second because this all it's interesting stuff, right? And that was going to be like my major next question to all of us. I don't know that if you're not Tony Khan, CM Punk, MJF, or Hangman Page, or I guess any member of the Elite, you don't know exactly what this is. And I don't know that here's okay, so everybody watches this, everybody like it's wrestling. It's like it's a work, guys, come on. No, it's not a complete work. Like I fail to see this as a complete work. I think that there are elements that might be, but this was more shoot. I will contend. I have no evidence of this, but I think that this is more of a shoot than a work.
I think it's, why not bring some of the realness into it? It just worked with MJF.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
It just worked with MJF. And if all of that wasn't a fucking, like, shoot/work, they never would have played that voicemail from Tony Khan right before he fucking entered.
Right, which was obviously a fake voicemail, a produced voicemail for the show.
It was, but
maybe it was based on some shoot events.
But I think that goes to show because it was very well reported, not even just like, dirt sheets and all, but very well reported that he was unhappy with his pay. He thought he was a top guy, which he is. And these things like, right. So there was, I think, like some tension. So I think like what Punk is going off of, which is what they have been going off of, because even Mox was going off it with him in promos. Like they're like, all right, let's let it be somewhat real so that we can like elicit this response and like knowing that the fans know what has happened with these relationships, whether it be other wrestlers or promoters or, you know, this, that, and the other. When you make it real, that's what's really been popping fans.
This is
recently.
obvious. Yes, this is obviously one of the arguments. My biggest problem with that argument currently, though, is that you're not promoting the big angle that got an amazing response from a live crowd at the end of your show that you're doing a media scrum for in your show. And what you're doing is you're almost burying the lead. You're burying the MJF appearance by now bringing into the world this stuff backstage with the Bucks, possibly Kenny. Like this all seems counterintuitive to the feud and angle that you're building right now, that you're
I see your train of thought and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but to play devil's advocate, would you not want to, if you're really going fucking full on heel, right? And like, you don't go straight into that because MJF is such a good fucking heel, right?
Right.
But like, do you literally just think that that's not happening? So when MJF shows up and gets on the mic, whether it be Dynamite or Ram, it's got to be Dynamite. But when he comes and shows up on the mic, right? Like, he's going to say, you've got all these fucking problems with all these fucking people, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. I'm the one standing in front of you. I'm your fucking problem.
That's fair. But then why start the whole thing off with the stuff about Colt Cabana and his mom? Also weird.
Because it gets you heat.
Gets you heat.
In Chicago, too.
Sure.
It gets you heat. Like, why bring it up regardless? Like, that shit's over.
But then
also,
why? But then why hang? But then why Hangman to that same argument? Why? And why? Like, I guess my biggest problem of all of it was really like Tony Khan sitting next to him while he bashes the EVPs. Because if you're doing that next to the boss who has put these people in their jobs, you're saying that Tony Khan's doing a bad job because he has put those EVPs in place.
Yeah.
You are actively, while he's saying he's doing everything to help the company, he is actively hurting the company. And if it was a real work across the board, that's the part that I don't think you would risk if you're Tony Khan.
I think it's the biggest he could have stopped it at any moment. Like, him sitting there, like, squirming, he was not sitting there cool and collected.
But he,
like,
he would look.
President of the United States, right? Like, you think about this, obviously different, but a president of the United States, it's like when George Bush got fucking told about 9/11, he didn't freak the fuck out. He didn't sit there squirming. He like sat there like fucking thinking. As much as I don't like the guy, right? Like, but it's like still he sat there fucking like stoic kind of thinking. Tony Khan was definitely squirmish and like kind of sitting there like uncomfortable, which makes me think it was a little bit more of an act because he likes to kind of put himself into this. But like, what a better way to make yourself the biggest heel and then to have like to make it so that all of the EVPs and shit are going to prove themselves that they run this over him. You can create so many different multiple angles off of all of this.
And so
the fact that maybe he took a swing at Matt Jackson after that.
That's the part. Yes, I have read that. And if that is the case, they're left in.
If that's the case, why is Eddie Kingston get suspended and fucking CM Punk doesn't?
Absolutely, I think you have to do that if you're Tony Khan. I think they were waiting to see what was being reported before they made the call. What if it's all real and in your Tony Khan and you're waiting to see what you can get away with? Because you really don't want to be suspending Punk right now.
You really don't want to. I also wonder legally
if he has to or...
No, the Colt Cabana thing. I wonder because it was in courts, like, I wonder what you are allowed or not allowed to say in defamation and things like that might like be slander. So like when that happens, so like if there is a work, there was an agreed upon. It would have had to have been, but I mean, maybe it's a great work if it is a work, but it's a stupid work in some fashion form. I mean, I guess you can say it just builds drama and more people would tune in. I think it's way different than anything we've ever seen.
It might be that, but here's the thing too. Tony Khan's been extremely silent on Twitter, unusual after a pay-per-view. They're waiting. He
can't do coke around CM Punk.
Right. Well, they're waiting. They're waiting.
You think he ever wanted to do drugs once? Just once. He's like, or like caffeine, even.
Right.
Like, and he's like,
no, boring people.
Fuck. He's like, I fucking did it on my knuckles. Can't do that.
No. I think. Okay, so what was I trying to get to the point of? It basically that. Shit, I lost my train of thought. Give me 2 seconds.
I'm so sorry.
No, it'll come back. It was
you were talking about Tony Khan and
don't say CM Punk because I know I was talking about that. I just forgot exactly the train of thought I was going in, and I'm having my my Tony Khan moment here. But
you were talking about him being silent on Twitter.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you. No BTE was released today. Always a BTE every Monday, usually hits around noon. No BTE released today. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
I don't know. Well, we would have to go back and look at if they did it on other Labor Days and holidays that ended up on a Monday.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. I'm sure
it's not like they're like producing it though. Like you just release it, and you also know a lot of people are at home.
You know, all Hangman said on Twitter today was Happy Labor Day, and you know, there's a lot of stuff about like the working man and the workers' rights when it comes to Punk and Labor Day. Didn't ever think about that. That was in the promo collection that played before the whole thing. Neither of one of us know for sure that this is a work or a shoot. So
let's just say, let me ask you this. Let's just say that Punk went completely off script, just fucking started doing this, right? Threw a punch at Matt Jackson, fucking, did all of this.
Yep.
Why?
What's that going to get him, really, at the end of the day? Well, because he's CM Punk. I mean,
because he ruins everything that he fucking takes himself to?
Yeah, kind of.
He gets himself up to the fucking level, and then he fucking says, like, I'm going to sabotage it for myself.
Maybe. It's highly possible. He has done it before.
I just don't know, like, I get he's done it before, but, like, they knew he was going out there for that pipe bomb, and some of that has been confirmed. They knew, like, the subjects he was going to talk on.
One thing, okay, I'll leave you with, all right. We will have to.
He wanted another fucking pipe bomb to make himself relevant.
He did. It's, I think he's playing carny tricks, but I also think that there's some shoot animosity backstage. And
I want to punch him so bad.
And he's doing a good job of turning himself heel. Do you think that turns into... Are they doing the double turn with him and MJF? Because
yes, MJF is going to come out of this because dude, the crowd was so over for him, and he just did the fucking cut my music. He didn't have to say he didn't have a microphone. He didn't say anything, which I thought was really smart.
It was
because he didn't have a fucking microphone. That was the detail. Like he's not gonna say, like he was saying things that you could hear if you were watching at home. If you weren't right there in the crowd, you couldn't necessarily hear it. You could tell by his hand gestures when he says the belt's coming home with me and things like that. But like that's the great thing. He had the mic for so long. He's so good on it, but he didn't need a mic to fucking make everyone feel that and to get over.
You want to hear something crazy? A fact I read today, just something that happened. AEW's Twitter in April posted the lyrics to Sympathy for the Devil. In April. Pretty fucking nuts. Just saying. That's probably when they were in talks and got the rights, you know?
Yeah.
That far back though, pretty fucking cool. Pretty fucking nuts. Sort of like, again, this is a crazy, I'm approaching it from both angles. I can see it either way, but I think it's a little bit of both. And I think they're silly if they don't use it on TV.
It's fairly long-term booking, which is us as fans fucking talk about. Like, we want long-term booking.
Yeah. Kenny also, there's another little tidbit in, Justin Roberts. They've been having him do the extra long, Kenny entrances or whatever. One of the things that Justin read in the one from last night was, never took his ball and went home. That's a shout. That's a shout. That's, I think maybe they are that damn good. And if they are, and they work this completely, kudos. I don't see it completely. I think there must be something a little bit more real to it.
But I think in today's world, that's what wrestling has been. That's what
it's
they
missing.
haven't been able to do. And they haven't been able to bridge the gap until now. Like with the MJF thing, like with some other, like take the realness of it.
Yeah.
Right? Take whatever's happening backstage, that because everyone's tuned in, they're turned on. You know that people are reading all of this and like they're all fucking smarks, and everyone thinks they know what's going on, right? So whether or not there's truth to it or not, when everyone thinks they know what's going on, take that and utilize that to create better television and better stories, because everyone's reading the dirt sheets trying to get that shit. So when you like link that in, you've now hooked people in a way that you have not been able to hook people before there was mass communication through the internet and things like that, with everyone being able to get it, let alone unless it was like a national fucking publication on print.
I was able.
You still had to wait for.
You're absolutely right, and this is a great way to do it with a professional wrestling media scrum. And someone I've been kind of doing this all day, and I have been just trying to like relate to other people's opinions on social media about this situation. And there's a couple of different like points that people have made in this, and I'll just read a couple of them here. The one that cracked me up, I think the most, I'll leave for last, but this is an interesting one just about like professional wrestling pressers, media scrums in general. And someone makes a point that an event where pro wrestlers answer questions in character is not a press conference. It is a performance portraying a press conference. If you ask questions at such an event, you are not a reporter. You are a performer taking part in the portrayal. And that is a very interesting take that does need to be explored, because
it does.
Because he's right. I would say that they have this weird balance, much the same balance pro wrestlers have when they do podcasts, where they don't give everything away, but they certainly are acknowledging that this isn't on the level, right? Like,
yes,
there's an understanding, and that you're not a journalist at that point. You're unintentionally part of the performance when you ask a question, because you're playing into the improv of what the character is saying.
So let me ask you this, because I think that that's a very valid point, what they brought up and what you just said. And so it makes me think, one, of the juxtaposition of the press conference that WWE had the day before, and the press conference that they had, right?
Yeah.
So now, like, if you
which was also it was very light too. It was very like, oh, we're so happy to have the WWE, and thanks for being in Wales, and a lot of that. And then they did the Roman thing.
So Roman
great,
did the exact opposite of Punk, or Punk necessarily did the exact opposite of Roman, which is maybe was that maybe
this goes back into certain things.
Like they were like, we're going to do the exact opposite of what, because he didn't say anything other than acknowledging. But did you watch the reporters? They did a back pan of that, the Roman thing. So like, I did notice that the reporter, if you're looking at it from ours, it was stage right, but it was from our perspective left. He was in the front row corner on the aisle. And he turned back and he fist bumped the dude who asked that question after Roman Reigns walked out. And he gave him a fist bump and a fucking nod. And I was like, so to your point, and this guy that you just read his tweet or whatever it was, I'll give it. Are they performers and bought in on this?
Yeah. By the way, that was at John Lister. So I'll give credit.
Well, good point, John Lister.
Great point. I've got a couple other funny tweets that I read throughout the day that I thought were amusing from random people here. This one cracked me up from Mary Kayfabe. Mary Kayfabe, good name.
I like that.
Imagine being such a Bret mark that you get into a fight with your bosses in the locker room too.
He just couldn't punch him.
Yeah.
Oh, which was that? That was the swing that he took.
That was
at Matt
the swing
Jackson.
at the Matt. I think it was Nick. I think he's got bigger beef with Nick than Matt, but one of them he's got more beef with apparently. And I think one of them was said like who knows how true it is, but right before it went, I checked like Twitter and Reddit one more time, and it was basically being reported that one of them got knocked out. I
didn't see that.
And there were other reports from the original guy that like came out with it. Every like thing he's saying is totally not a work. Like they've got the wrestling journalist and media hook, line, and sinker if it's a work, which is interesting, right?
Which would be great.
Right. So then there's Trevor Dame, at Trevor Dame. He goes and says, huge night for Punk, winning both the AEW World title and his first shoot fight, increasing his MMA record to 1-2. A good one, Trevor. A good one. And last one about this one. The CM Punk is a little more just serious. The CM Punk, at Aaron RIFT, Aaron Rift, the CM Punk / Young Bucks story is very bizarre. If it's a shoot, it makes AEW look Bush League. If it's a work, it's distracting because the focus should be CM Punk versus MJF, which is kind of what I was saying earlier. So I'm just, reiterating that point. But, last one.
I think also makes it so when MJF does get a mic, he can tear into him even more. He's like, you're making this about yourself, all this shit. Like, blah,
that's
blah,
a really good point I hadn't thought of. Again, I was going to say, is it made me more it's definitely not made me more invested in CM Punk though. It's maybe, this is the problem, is it's actually,
no, I fucking still hate him.
See, I think that's the problem.
I actually don't, that's the thing. I actually also just like, I personally, although I have my own opinions on this, which I've been somewhat stating, I just hope he fucking goes away. He has nothing else to do. He's going to lose the title. He's going to fucking be a bitch after that. And he's going to be like, I have nothing else I can do. I can't win the title, blah, 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 blah. He's going to go home.
This is it. There's something that even though, even if this was a complete work, I'm not going to be super into it. I want it to be a shoot so he gets his ass fired and gets sent the fuck home. And they buy him out of his contract. And Tony Khan has,
they just looks did like that he's got MJF though.
Yeah, but no, Tony Khan just buys CM Punk out of his contract and says bye.
Yeah.
Like that would, if Tony Khan did something like that, if the rumors are true that there is actual problems in the locker room and Tony was like, nah, I'm done with it, and you fire CM Punk essentially, ain't nobody fucking around anymore.
Also, yeah,
you know,
I wonder,
because if he can get fired, I better not be expect
also,
the world.
Was there anything like leading up to this, right? Like we had heard rumors, we had heard talk like of him being, you played this at the top of the show. Everyone talking about, but like, did you notice Jon Moxley's entrance? Like the way he on All Out, like he seemed a little more like, right before he walked, he came up to the camera and he fucking said something and he flicked off the fucking camera.
And Regal doesn't come out with Moxley. Regal doesn't come out with Moxley usually.
And he was flicking off the fans as he was, and then he was like doing weird faces even when he like he was like fucking joking, blah, 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 blah. Like he was just like, he was like definitely having fun with it. Like, I'm not saying he was like actually flicking the fans off. I think he actually get, but like, was he? But
this was Mox being, fuck you, Chicago. You all fucking love me, and like you.
But was he also like in on something? Where some of his mannerisms and the things just kind of like, this kid's a fucking joke, like trying to get you there?
Maybe that's, maybe that actually, that is interesting. Never thought of that one, but that is a very good point. The last point that I want to bring up from Twitter about the CM Punk situation, at Wire TAUP says, Punk waiting until Bobby Fish was gone to let loose does not go unnoticed. And that is actually one of the better takes as well, Bobby Fish
That is because Bobby Fish would beat his ass.
his ass. He would not fucking stand for that shit. No.
Not at
and
all.
it might be part of the reason that he just left too.
Right?
And let's not forget if Kyle O'Reilly was around. Kyle O'Reilly is out injured for, like, I think they said they don't even know how long. Like, what do you call that when you're out for
indefinitely?
Indefinitely. Thank you. I forgot what words were. But no, he's out indefinitely. Also, feel like that makes sense why Bobby Fish would leave. Like, if Kyle's not there and they can't do Red Dragon, and like that's why I think this whole Undisputed Elite thing is basically fizzled out so quick. You got Cole injured, you got Riley injured, and Bobby Fish being like, well, what the fuck? Like, what am I gonna do? So, you know, he was the weaker of the three. You got to let him go.
Well, and I guess
he wanted to leave. By the way, he wanted to leave.
He did. All of this makes you wonder too, like how much of it is true with the backstage, politics and people not being happy, because apparently we obviously didn't see it, but Malakai Black, did you read this? Like at the end of he walked up to the top of the entrance ramp, then he took like a huge bow and said thank you to everyone. And the rumor has been that he had asked for his release due to mental health and to the way that his character had been booked. Now, mental health aside, and I'm a big proponent of that, but mental health aside, character being booked, you gave him his own fucking badass entrance.
Dope ass entrance.
You gave him his run with a bunch of things. You let him bring Brody King in.
Two of his best buddies.
Yes. And you let him build. And you let him build like this stable.
A cool ass stable that is doing gigs as House of Black all over the indies.
So at what point?
What more do you want?
At what point is it kind of on you that maybe you didn't get it over as much as you thought it should be?
Yeah, I think he's definitely a victim of the overcrowding of the roster. I think if that hadn't have been the case, then I think he would have been highlighted more and probably booked in, more intense feuds. But if Malakai's real goal at the end of the day was to be the top 8, like the AEW champion, he wants Punk's belt, right? If he wants to be that guy, he needs to be everything, singles, everything.
Yeah, he doesn't need like a full-on stable or anything.
It's cool after the fact, after you get the championship, then you build the stable. But in my mind, if you're like the singles competitor, you want to go for the singles gold, that's what you need to be doing. You can make an argument they would be great in the trios division and would be a great competitor just a great team in general to beat Kenny and the Bucks for those belts, because the three of them are so connected and unified and like whatever, right? I don't like, a lot of people will say that Aleister Black better booked in WWE than, he might have been slightly in NXT, but than he has been in AEW. WWE. I say presentation wise, he's been given everything in AEW, and
he has been.
I don't know that. Maybe it's TV time. I think that he has suffered again, like he suffered from that bloated roster, but it does sound like he, gave like a kiss and a wave to the crowd and a bow on his way out after getting pinned in that match at All Out against Miro, Sting, and Darby, which, I mean, I get it. It's Sting, right? Like, you're going to have him win pretty much all the matches he's in.
But he used his thing against him.
Yeah. The Black Mist was used against, Malakai to really ultimately take him out. And that's sort of weird, too. So I guess no more Mistons, and I guess
or maybe he just goes away for a while, and
I'm hoping that's just it.
And everyone thinks he's gone, and then he'll show back up, and like all of a sudden it's like whatever mist Sting spewed at him, right?
Like
it got him to that side,
I know he has an indie date on the 17th of this month, and he's like headlining an indie show.
What name is he going under?
Malakai.
Okay.
Yeah, going under Malakai, and it's all House of Black branded, all that type of stuff. So if we'll see if that, like, I think that'll be a good, interesting tell. If he's,
it'll be an indicator. Yeah.
Indicator.
I will say that Julia Hart
with her witch costume on.
Yeah, Julia the teenage bitch. That's
good.
That's
good.
That's what I've got for her. Yeah, that's it. She looks like an actual fucking like goth witch.
Can we back up for just a second? I know this is crazy that we still I still have so much more to talk about with the media scrum, but I think it's important in the grand scheme of things. And we were just going back to the Tony Khan, you know, like he must be a pretty big cuck if this is a work, because like it wasn't just Punk that was, you know, being pretty disrespectful to him. It started next with Swerve. And I don't know if you watched that portion of the media scrum or not. Did you see that part?
I saw clips. I didn't watch the whole media scrum, but I have seen a Swerve clip.
So yeah, it's suggested because of how good the match was with the Acclaimed and what are they? Swerve in Our Glory? Yeah, is that what they're calling them? And it really was. Like we'll talk about it in a second, but because of how good that match was, Tony suggested that the Acclaimed might get a rematch at Grand Slam, and Swerve, this was seemingly pretty in character, I would assume, but again made Tony look like a bit of a dickhead, because he's all like, you know, no, they don't deserve another shot. We beat them. What do we have to prove to them? Like we beat them. They don't get another shot type deal, which of course I can understand kayfabe wise you're doing that. But did you catch at the very end, or like, because Tony's like, well, I just think it'd be a great match. Like guys from like, and he's trying to like sell it, like kind of calm them down. And Swerve says, well, I don't know if that happens. Someone might get hurt. He straight up says someone might get hurt. And then Tony, like, very much seemed like out of kayfabe. He's like, oh, no, we don't do that. Like, you could see he was pissed. Like, we don't do that. So, either Swerve's, like, playing into it too much, and, like, Tony did definitely, like, or they don't have their boundaries set quite right yet to what you're allowed to do, what you're not. Because that is, like, that's not what something, like, a wrestler should say to a wrestler, even just fucking around.
Especially in front of the fucking media.
No.
Let alone in front of the fucking owner of the company. But,
and I love Swerve. But don't, I mean, maybe that's just a slip, but.
Well, what if? This is a big what if. The whole plan is to split the roster.
Right.
Against all these people who are fucking it's almost like an NWO type thing, right? Like where it's like, but it's not NWO, but it's like this whole because it's not an invasion, but it's like
are you Ring of Honor, like, or are you AEW? I mean,
or are you like do you want to try and take this over and make it better? Because we, like, CM Punk has a fucking bunch of people who believe that the backstage and this, that, and the other, and like all this shit, and then you have like the EVPs, Kenny, the Bucks, Tony, fighting for like everything that they've worked for and all this stuff, and a storyline that you then have like a Worlds Collide, not NXT branded, fucking type thing, which is like for the locker room.
I'm actually kind of into that. I think I
am into that too.
It feels sort of too early in the company to be doing that. But
a good way. If you're gonna do that, like a good way to like bring more to it.
With such a bloated roster, it might be like, important to do.
And if there is that much backstage, all right, everything was somewhat pretty fucking groovy, like fucking for AEW for a couple of years. Why now? Everyone seems to have backstage issues.
CM Punk got there. I mean, there's two things. There's two things. There's two things. There's CM Punk got there, and Cody Rhodes left. I am 100% on the shoot level with that Cody actually was the locker room leader and was serving as a bit of a liaison between Tony Khan and the roster.
Cody was a politician.
And absolutely. Cody was a politician. Also will always have the respect of most of the locker room due to one word: Dusty. And no matter what, the guys are going to respect him. And I do get the feeling that Cody
can go though too. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think realistically, he might have been a bit like, I can see if I'm one of their talents, I don't necessarily want to talk to Kenny. That's not really on my level. Young Bucks, not either. I think I would rather talk to Cody Rhodes about like my career trajectory and what I need to do in AEW to, climb the ladder. And like, I feel like
I actually have never thought of that, but I wouldn't, like, at first thought when you say that, I wouldn't disagree.
No, I think Cody was that guy.
Because unlike Tony, like you said, he's the liaison. Unlike Tony, he is also a wrestler. And like, he also helped create this. So he understands both sides of the coin. Did
you see this clip that resurfaced earlier today? Basically, it's from when Cody was a TNT champion in AEW. So close probably to a year ago, I'm sure, because of the nature of the question. I forget what his name is. I think he's one of the guys from Busted Open. He asks Cody about where he sees AEW in 2022. And it's only like a 30-second clip that I'll play very quickly. Okay, yeah, if you don't mind just muting your shit, because the audio is terrible, and I gotta jack up the fader, and then you're on the same fader.
I haven't heard that.
But yeah, like it's something that just resurfaced, of course, based upon everything that's just happened. And yeah, check this out.
2022, AEW. Lay it out. What's it going to be like? Is this another year of just steady growth? Because you guys, the arrow's been pointed up since you started.
I think 2022 it really leans into what you mentioned earlier in terms of all those free agents and all the originals and all the pillars. I think you really are setting up for a year-long battle royal.
So we see how they mix.
Exactly. Yeah. A year-long, incredibly tumultuous
there you go.
Battle royal of, oh, well, I came from WWE and I never watched your product, but I'm super over. Or I've been here the whole time. Both are annoying.
Yeah.
Both opinions are entitled and annoying, but they make for great wrestling.
There you go.
That's it, dude. That's
Cody Rhodes.
That's what I was just talking about. That's that Worlds Collide. I hate to keep using that NXT thing, but you split the fucking locker room and roster.
But this is the thing, is that I definitely feel like there's elements of realness with the whole thing that is developing that is going to be turned into a shoot. It didn't start that way, but they're going to make it that way, and they're going to enhance it that way. I think that is probably what's happening, because what Cody is talking about is probably what he was seeing in that locker room and what he expected to come before. Like, he's probably already thinking about his departure there when he's saying this. And maybe this is all part of why, I don't know. I don't necessarily want to deal with all
maybe
that.
He's got like mad beef with Punk too.
Maybe.
He's like, I see him coming in. I also kind of want out.
These are all possibilities. I think that we have, pretty much covered. No, we haven't. Not yet. There's one more. So Toni Storm, sweetheart that she is, she hops up after becoming the new women's interim champion, and then she goes on sitting right next to Tony Khan to basically call Thunder Rosa's injury like fake.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Okay, we're doing that now. That another bad move. Again, if this is really bad work.
But like, how many times has AEW let things like that happen in their media press conferences? Like, this is just all a little too.
It's fishy, but it means
it's a little fishy, man. We're in murky waters here.
But it means a lot of that press conference is fake. It means that like 90% of that press conference is fake, right?
It's a pro wrestling press conference,
which
like,
is the point we made earlier.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's elements of the truth. And again, the wrestling media doesn't quite know how to take it yet. One thing after all of it was said and done, last thing we'll talk about on the presser was the Tony Khan quote, because after all of them left, he had Jericho on, who actually seemed like he was like concerned for Tony Khan and acting like the big brother and like, I'm going to take care of this situation type thing. Like he might have known what had gone down backstage, if that's real. It was, or at least it was portrayed that way. If that's what they were doing, then they did a really good job. So yeah, we've got Jericho out there, and after Jericho leaves Tony Khan, there's a weird interaction, and it sounds like Jericho almost says something like, there's like an issue backstage. Like some people have tried to do the homework, read the lips. You can't quite make it out. But some people think, this is not true. We don't know this to be true at all. But some people think he says to him, we had to call the cops. Again, if that is true, there'd be a report of that by now, probably. So I don't know that that's, or, someone could dig that out.
There would be a report of that, but there's fucking cops at the fucking facility.
Well, that means, like, I guess we had to call the cops within the fucking venue. Like, they're not calling the cops, like, on the phone or anything, are they?
Also, why would he make it so he is somewhat on camera saying that? He could have gone behind the curtain.
So Jericho's in on it now. Everyone's in on it.
They're all in on it, man.
They're all in on it. Bryan Alvarez, all the Meltzers, they're in on it. Like
Sean
Sapp. Ross Sapp, he's in on it. I mean, if this is the case,
it's a machine, man.
I'd be amazed. But Tony Khan has his little bit at the end. He has like 10 minutes or so where it's just him. And he's finalizing, just answering questions. Okay, whatever. Just me at the end. He does this at all of them. And he, someone asks about, of course, they had already had All Out scheduled on this date. WWE essentially booked 2 shows that weekend as well. Clash at the Castle and, of course, Worlds Collide. And they, I think Tony Khan was definitely trying to play tough guy here. And maybe this also plays into a little bit of maybe some of this was a little real and he was getting pieces of it, because it's like he's answering the question in regards to WWE, but he's also answering the question of, do you have control of your locker room at the same time? Does that make sense? So you could go work or shoot either way with this, but it would have to be brilliantly planned. Because he, in answering the response, of course, to WWE counter booking, essentially, not counter booking, but back to, side by side with All Out, but it's certainly, you're taking some of the wrestling audience away a bit. You're sucking that wrestling audience a tad if you're WWE booking these shows. So TK quotes, he says, I think I got a little taste of what Jim Crockett felt, but I have a lot more fucking money than Jim Crockett did, and I'm serious. I'm not going to sit back and take this shit. That's Tony Khan on WWE having 2 shows the same weekend as All Out. So if he's saying that, I think when he's saying I'm not, basically, I got a lot more fucking money than Jim Crockett did, and I'm serious, I'm not going to sit back and take this shit. Yeah, he's saying that in regards to WWE. I also think if all this is a shoot, he's sort of saying that to his roster. And that is equally as interesting in just what the hell is going on with AEW as the other way around. As if it's a full work. Again, I think it's both. I think that's what I've come to the conclusion with. And seeing both sides is, I think there's elements of, for instance, I don't think Punk is really angry with MJF, because I don't think this feud would even be happening. Yeah, he says in the presser, Tony Khan just wants me to work with these pricks, right? But I do think that there is real beef with the Hangman stuff. And I do think that maybe there's beef with the Young Bucks and the Elite. And that's something that now they will drive into story. But I think it originated not as story, and it's turning into story. My 2 cents. Could be wrong, of course. But
I think what'll be interesting is, I don't disagree with your 2 cents either. I mean, it definitely is very logical. And it is probably that. I will say we're obviously going to find out a lot more between now and Full Gear, but the next presser that AEW has,
that'll be a telling moment, right?
Very indicative of what's actually happening.
Because if we see like just shenanigans again,
if this continues, then yeah it's a fucking storyline.
And I even think that we'll know before that, really, because
we 100%
we'll
will, because
see it start playing out in real life, and like
we have TV. We'll hear. I mean, there's a lot of time before that happens, but I will say, however they handle the next one will be indicative of.
You're right. You're 100% right. How about this? We have done a lot so far. We've got through, I think,
in the first hour, we've only talked about the presser.
But honestly, that really is the hardest thing to get through, because everything else is going to be a little bit more laid back. We're going to actually talk about certain matches, what we liked, what we didn't.
I know, I'd love to hear. You and I have not even spoken about.
Not really.
Grade these pay-per-views.
No, we haven't. We have not at all yet.
I'm interested in that.
So I'm
interested in how Duncan would too.
Yeah, of course, and we're interested if you're like watching on the YouTube or something. Make sure to say how you grade as well. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. People tell me you're supposed to do that. I also have.
You're talking to two guys who fucking hit 40,000 views in less than 24
hours.
Right.
So that's right. That's us.
King.
That's us. We kind of are.
No big deal.
No big deal. I got a lot. I got the. Speaking of like the grading system and stuff, cagematch.com.
Yeah.
Cage Match, very, huge, wrestling website. They have a different star rating than, of course, to Dave, but it's more fan based and voted on and what have you. I think basically I've pulled the 10 highest rated matches of the week and the 5 lowest rated matches of the week. All of them, I believe, are from this weekend, minus maybe one. But yeah, so we've even got their highest rated show and their lowest rated show of the week.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll talk about it, what we liked. We'll definitely talk even about a little bit about NXT. We'll be discussing Clash at the Castle. And then I've got a couple hypothetical questions and a couple other, me with my like nice little random tidbits of knowledge that I throw at you. I got a couple of those as well. So we'll take like a 10-minute break if that's cool with you, and we'll be back with all of that I just mentioned here on Oh No Wrestling. Let me play some tunage or something for you here. Yep, we'll be back. That's doomy. I don't know if I want that. That's too doomy for me. I need something a little more upbeat than that. We're having a good time.
We just talked about some heavy shit.
We did talk about some heavy stuff, but I played heavy stuff at the beginning. Now we gotta lighten the mood. Well, how about we get a little funky? Everybody likes some little funkiness, right? There we go. That's what we need. That's all we need to take us to the break for a little bit on the Oh No Wrestling podcast. Yeah, talking the wrestling. Oh yeah, talking the wrestling. Woo! Guys, for real, we'll be back in about 10 minutes. ONWrestling.com, twitch.tv/ONRS. That stands for ONO Radio Show. That's my other podcast. You should listen to that one too. Patreon.com/ONRS if you want to donate your hard-earned monies. Oh, I think that did the Twitch thing wrong. It's twitch.tv/ONRS live. 407-906-6466 if you ever want to leave a voicemail. We need to come up with a break saying, we don't have one for Oh No Wrestling. We have one for all the others, but we don't have one for this one. So we'll just say,
those are the breaks. Them's the breaks. Something like that.
That's what we're going with right now. Them's the breaks. We'll see you in just a minute.
We can do better, but
we can do better. We'll come up with a better one. See you in a few.
driving at night, windowless ride, feeling alive, nothing in sight, forever in flight, follow those lines, we'll make it this time, blurry street lights, work as a guide to memories that we're making tonight, oh yeah, we'll make it tonight, yeah. I'll do anything that I feel like I wanna do, I'm living life like I got nothing left to prove, no end in sight, just always staying on the move, I'll go all night, if that's just what I got, life's too short to care about what you can't afford, memories are in what you explore, so just don't be ignored, go ask for more, go ask for more, 'cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute, going for a ride down the side, PCH country limit, I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit, are you alive, or just breathing, 'cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute, going for a ride down the side, PCH country limit, I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit, are you alive, or just breathing, I'm in a race that everybody's chasing fast, they wanna be that someone on the screen at last, they ain't looking inside for their needs in life, they wanna be liked by everybody in sight, but trust me, being free ain't spotlights, no it's long nights and it's long fights with yourself all the time to get your mind right, but if you put in the work you can find the light, alright, I'll do anything that I feel like I wanna do, I'm living life like I got nothing left to prove, no end in sight, just always staying on the move, I'll go all night, if that's just what I got, life's too short to care about what you
Welcome back to, I guess, the second segment of the Oh No Wrestling podcast. Matthew will be here in just a second, but we had news over the short break that we had. Some reports are even further coming out about the situation backstage with one CM Punk, apparently Kenny Omega, and Nick Jackson is at least what we know. And so SRS reported on the podcast, that's Sean Reed's Sean Ross Sapp.
Ross
reported on the podcast that he heard the backstage fight. He heard the backstage fight included Kenny Omega, at least one Jackson with Ace Steel and CM Punk. Nick Jackson got knocked out. Ace bit Kenny, and there was a chair thrown. If that is real, that is unbelievable.
Who the fuck bites people?
Ace
other
Steel,
than, like, Tyson?
apparently. Ace Steel. He's
Ace Steel trying to be Mike Tyson.
Apparently. So yeah.
I guess, man. I don't know. That seems too outlandish.
Well, that definitely to me feels like more.
Hold on, I'm gonna check his Twitter.
That feels more, worky than anything that I've read up until this point. Fightful Select is also reporting, we spoke to numerous WWE staff and talent and about their thoughts on the AEW brawl, which that's funny. We spoke to WWE staff and talent about their thoughts on the AEW brawl. One said, if they don't get over it and make money with it, none of them have any business talking about who is drawing what houses. That is a hell of a quote, too. Like, whoever said that from WWE, I kind of agree with that one, at very least. Like, if they're going to completely, like, if this is a shoot and they're not doing something with it, then aren't they missing the whole goddamn point, right? So,
yeah.
So there's that.
There is that. I will say, just because I did just hop on Twitter, there was this nice shot 4 hours ago. MJF posted his feet up in these dope. I don't know what.
Oh, is this the one on the airplane? On the private jet? Yeah, whatever dope ass sneakers on. Yeah.
Are they all like sponsored by Diadora now? It's so funny that the Jacksons fucking were wearing Nikes for so long and now they're wearing Diadora.
Well, yeah. When you get sponsored and you know.
I mean, yeah.
I don't even know what Diadora is, if I'm being.
It's a soccer football thing.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was the cool thing when I was like in middle school and high school. Like, it's like, fuck your Adidas, fuck that. Like,
really?
If you're wearing Diadora, like, you're the shit.
How do you spell it?
Diadora, I believe.
Diadora shoes. Okay, Diadora shoes.
Yeah, it's a whole, like, it was like about getting like
those
ones.
The
tracksuits and shit. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize. So, I mean, they are pretty cool, but
no, they're very cool. It's not a knock that they got a Diadora
sponsorship. But at the same time,
it's just funny that they were all about fucking...
I mean, every Nike ever, and it's not like they're going to get rid of those, are they? You know, like that's well, let's swerve off of all that. Let's make our way into actually the wrestling events that happened. The actual, whether or not I've heard the the sentiment that
there was wrestling this weekend.
Well, whoever thought that the best wrestling, whoever knew that the best wrestling show this weekend was going to be the AEW Media Scrum, and maybe that's not completely wrong, but out of all the stuff you've seen, what was your favorite? What was like your overall, like, I guess we'll start with just All Out. What was your overall impression of the All Out pay-per-view itself?
It was good. It felt a little off. Not
wrong. Yep.
I don't know what it was. It's like ever since the first match when it started, like the way that match changed so quickly confirmed my feeling offedness, because like it felt off even when that match started.
even before any of the Joker stuff, me and you were texting, and I think and we're not talking about the buy-in, right? We're talking about the actual main card. Is that
Yeah.
okay? So the casino ladder match, right?
Yep.
And I remember seeing something in our Discord. I remember saying something along the lines of, I don't know what it is about this match,
but there's something.
But I felt like I've got a weird feeling someone's going to get injured or something along those.
Yeah,
someone's going to get hurt.
That is what she said. Yeah.
And I think that might have been the same feeling that you were feeling, that there were spots not going right. Like there's no way that spot, that ladder spot that Claudio was doing with Penta was meant to go the way that it went. Like, I think I know what they were trying to do, and the ladder slipped out from the from one side of the ladder where he couldn't get, it wasn't far enough in, so he couldn't get the leverage to push it over ass over tit like it was supposed to go. So we had to kind of do like a side dump on it instead, right? Like,
yep.
You caught that, right? Like that was
100%. Yeah.
So from the, like, I think from the early moments of that match in particular, I kind of had like, it wasn't like it was bad, but I had an off feeling. And I'm not going to say that it went away completely throughout the pay-per-view. There were very big high points and very, very good points. But this might have been, I think, my least favorite AEW pay-per-view since the birth of the promotion.
Did you say that last time?
I might have actually. I think I know I said it. I want to say I think I said it maybe about, is it a Full Gear or something like that? I can't remember which one it was.
It was something recently that you said it about.
I'm trying to remember. Well, what was the last pay-per-view? Was it Double or Nothing?
Yeah.
So, trying to remember what happened at Double or Nothing now. It's been so long ago. Was that where Hangman lost?
Was there something between Double or Nothing in this? Because Double or Nothing was May.
No.
May, June, July, August.
Forbidden Door. No, you're right, because we had Forbidden Door. Now I'm getting them all mixed up, dude.
Hold on,
you'd have to pull it up, because I will say, when you tell me, I'm sure I'll remember, but my memory has to be like kind of jogged at times by things, and my wrestling memory in particular. But I know I've said it. I know I've said that. Like, I think the last, like, I'm not gonna. Okay, so Revolution was pretty damn good.
So Revolution was Adam Page versus Adam Cole. Double or Nothing was Page versus CM Punk. Then that was on May 29th, and then June 26th, less than a month later, was AEW New Japan Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
But then it was like, so almost, it was
Punk, when did Punk win the belt? Which Punk won the belt at what?
On May 29th, 2022, which is just a few days over 3 months from when they had All Out on September 4th.
I think I probably said that about that pay-per-view, I would guess. Forbidden Door is kind of like a different animal, right? Like, you're getting into something different. Like, so maybe I said it about that, but it kind of doesn't apply as much to like the general AEW pay-per-views. I'll also say that All Out has very, very big shoes to fill after last year's All Out. All Out was the first match, or not, like, first pay-per-view match of CM Punk, and also the debut of Danielson and Cole on the same night. So pretty hard to top that. This didn't come close. It had some great matches. It had some unexpected surprises, but nothing that, like, and I'm glad that there wasn't, like, I'm glad that they didn't do another big debut, right? Like, that would have...
Yeah, they didn't need it.
You can't keep doing it. And now that that's sort of, like, that has burned off, that they can't keep going back to the well with that. Now they've got to use superstars, on their own roster, which is why the MJF thing was an incredibly smart thing to do. probably as a whole, my favorite thing on the pay-per-view was the speculation that the man in the mask was him, and I think most of us figured it out pretty quick.
And then getting the
payoff at the end. The two things with that were great. I also there were great matches in between, but without that MJ payoff, I don't know that we're talking very positively about the pay-per-view as a whole. And I do think that there were a couple too many lows and a couple too many, and I go back to this all the time with AEW, way too many predictable results. Even though I lost my ass on our predictions contest, a lot of that time you're sort of predicting against the other person. Well, we also didn't have a big portion of the card when we did it.
True, because there were a lot of matches. So what would you grade it on, not a star rating, just like if you were rating it like an A, B, C? So if you want me to go first, I'll go first. I'm gonna give it between a B and a B plus, but I'm feeling more of a B.
I would go B minus. I think that this was B minus. It's not C plus. It's definitely still a B, but it's B minus. That's, I think, what I would feel about the whole card, because there were certain booking decisions within this evening that I don't know. First off, it's not my company. It's not my decision really for me to say if that's right or wrong. But
apparently, if it is your company, you don't say shit anyway.
Well, but yeah, right. But for me, okay, for instance, there were a couple things that happened that I sort of want to move forward from, that only kind of perpetuated because of the results. Kind of over Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. I understand that maybe Christian was injured. That's why this Luchasaurus Jungle Jack Perry match ended up in this, squash essentially, with Luchasaurus turning, on Jungle Boy, and apparently Christian was injured, couldn't do a full match. That's part of the reason this is getting extended. But I think that story, to be honest with you, I think it's run its course. I'm ready for it to move on.
Yeah, they don't need his mom and sister there anymore. That needs to stop. And Jungle Boy also, he didn't need to, he already came back from being injured. That should have been the moment. We talked about it on multiple podcasts, you, Duncan, and I, about how he needed to come back with that leather jacket, which he did. What they didn't do, they didn't pay attention to the detail. He was still wearing his fucking moccasins with that, which was bullshit.
No, he needed to absolutely just be wearing a pair of regular fucking trunks. If you still just put him in trunks and put him in. He doesn't have to be wearing the Tarzan boy fucking
gimmick or whatever. Exactly.
Done with that.
But then they to get him buried by Luchasaurus and not even Christian, I get it. You're going to go one more time and we're finally going to get the match and he's going to win. But again, to your point, very predictable. We're all over it. And
even though all of us, by the way, predicted Jungle Boy, but, and maybe that's the way they would have gone had Christian not been injured and they had to go this route, because it also seems like they did one too many flip-flops now with Luchasaurus. It feels like, okay, because he was back with him, and I don't know. I'm fine.
I agree with what you're saying.
I actually want Demon Luchasaurus. I do want that, so I'm okay with that part of it. But I don't need this perpetuation of Christian and Jungle, and just why wouldn't they have just if Christian's injured, play along with something along the lines of that even though Luchasaurus maybe is still heel, he accidentally lariats Christian or something, whatever he can do to take a bump to get through a match, just because of his involvement in a very short interaction, Jungle Boy can get the pin. Now you can have more intrigue with Lucha and Jungle Boy. You don't necessarily know if they're on the same page or not, but you still kind of end the Christian thing and move on to where, okay, maybe later down the line, like Luchasaurus is heel, and now we get a Luchasaurus Jungle Boy feud for a little bit, and then we can be done with that. At least it's a means to an end.
The whole thing needs to be done.
The whole thing needs to be done. That's my point. Yeah, 100%.
I agree with you.
And that's why we all voted for Jungle Boy to win. That's why we all predicted that, because I think we're all on the same page with that. So, again, I don't hate the whole turning on Jungle Boy and everything. I just think it's like, didn't we just do that? It felt very just like repetitive, and it didn't necessarily need it. I'm trying to, how about we do this? We do one good, one bad, right? We did a bad. So we'll do one good, and hey, how about you pick? You pick a good. You pick a good. Or I'll pick, how about this? I'll pick a good because I did a bad, and then next time you can pick a bad and then a good after that, and then we both get a bad and a good.
Okay, because I just picked a bad.
Yeah, well, I just picked the bad with. I mean, was Jungle Boy is what I was talking about. So
what do I do? So I go bad or good?
No. I'm gonna go good.
Oh, you're gonna go. Okay.
And then you're gonna have two in a row where you do a bad and good.
Okay.
All right. So good for me. Let's see. I actually thought the Punk Mox match was good. And a lot of people aren't going to want to admit that, especially with the whole press conference stuff that we've covered extensively now. But the match was actually good. And I think that's going to be gone. A lot of people are going to forget that. Did he bleed maybe a little too heavy? I know we talked about that. Maybe. But there was some decent storytelling in this match. Like it or not, that was probably Punk's best match in AEW.
Yeah, in AEW for sure.
And they played nicely with like the bulldog choke and him almost passing out, which goes back to the promo of him talking like being born with the umbilical cord around his neck and all that type of stuff. And it felt like a pretty damn good fight. Mox had some incredible offense, and this is the first time that Jon Moxley has been pinned clean in AEW. Clean. And the first time he's been pinned, but first time he's been pinned clean, and the first time in something close to 2 years that he's been pinned at all. Something ridiculous like that. I think the last one was Kenny in the exploding barbed wire, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that was the last time he actually got pinned. I think it might be. If not, it was a tag match or something. But either way, that was one of the goods. And I'm not I'm not a Punk guy, but I actually have to give him some credit here. He hit the fucking GTS right. He looked better than he has been. He still looked gassed as fuck, but he ended up playing into that, and it was still a good match. So that's my good. That's my good. Forcing each other to do bad and good. So we're not smarky asshole wrestling fans, right? Like that we have to do it.
All right. So and we're doing this just on AEW?
Yeah, just on All Out. We'll get to the other shit later.
Okay. So bad then, that's what you started with.
Mm-hmm,
So looking at the card. Shit. I mean,
let me also preface this. A lot more good than bad on the show. I said it was my least favorite, and I said I put it at a B-, but I do grade very high for AEW because they've done so many great shows, especially last year's All Out. So it does knock it would probably be a BB+ for me if it wasn't for previous pay-per-views. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with that. I will say bad only because the match didn't last very long. So the match was, according to Wikipedia, and I'm going to go to a worse match, but I will say I was expecting more from this match.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate like the outcome or anything, but they should have given Hobbs and Starks more than 5 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yeah,
I think that was bullshit. I think you still could have had the same outcome, but I think it was bullshit that you gave them 5 minutes where a lot of the other matches are 20 minutes plus. But worse than that, the one that really got me was the fucking Jade Cargill and fucking Athena match. I thought that match was pointless. It was stupid. It was under 5 minutes.
And it was the worst
Not only
match.
that, but the fucking... And you had mentioned something earlier in the night. You had said to me in text, I think, you were like, commentary seems off.
Oh yeah,
tonight.
They were
like
off.
Right at the it was right at the beginning. But what got me was that she did, like, I think I sent you a thing, like, she got center entrance, right?
Yeah.
Like, she got that, which, remember Cody had said she could have it, or she said Cody said she could have it or something.
Well, there's two of them that have it now.
It's her and
Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
Her and Hobbs are the ones that have the center entrance. They don't have the Cody Vader, but they have the center entrance.
And
Hobbs even has the chandelier thing that goes up.
Come up.
Yeah.
But this was the first time that she's had it, right?
No, she's had it a bunch of times before that.
Okay, well, this time it was the first time with the bricks, which
it was the first time with that.
She was obviously doing the She-Hulk thing, but like the commentary did not get it. To your point earlier in the night, they go, she's painted green because she's all about money.
Yeah.
What? I was like, no, she's painted like the fucking Hulk.
I think that was also a bit of like, they don't want, they
can't say Hulk.
They can't say She-Hulk. They can't say Hulk. Like I think that might have been.
They could say she's a monster. She's fucking possessed. She's obviously dressed as She-Hulk. Come on.
Right. Is she
the green is not about the money.
Is she one of those banners? I don't know. Something nerd like you could. Excalibur knows that shit. You could have done something better than God, she's green like money.
Speaking of commentary too, there was one. Someone was it? One of them was calling the other one the wrong name for a while, and Taz.
It was Schiavone all night.
Yeah,
Schiavone.
And Taz was like Shivani. He was like, I've been doing this for a long time.
3 times now. You call me the wrong name. 3 times. Like you called me Excalibur. I'm Taz.
Yeah.
Like
that was weird.
I would get pissed off at that too. Like
I would too, for sure. But that match was bullshit.
Oh yeah, that match was.
And they ruined
Athena's
Athena, which I wasn't very excited for. But like now that, because like when she showed up, all she was doing was run-ins. But like she hasn't done anything else, and now she isn't. I don't see her being strong at all.
They're gonna put her in a tag team with Ruby, and that's gonna be the end of them both.
Yeah. Oh, she fell on her neck bad.
She fell on her neck real bad, and apparently got a broken nose. This was all on the opening match of the now called 0 hour, so the hour-long buy-in. 4 matches on that bitch
when
too.
You got a big nose.
Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe she'll fix her nose when she gets this thing done.
Yes.
Like, it's gonna be she's gonna end up being hot when she comes out of this.
Yeah,
like, what happened?
Oh, damn.
What the fuck? But that. Go ahead.
I will say, what if just going back to the center entrance with her and Hobbs? You think you ever do like a power couple between them? Like strong man, strong woman.
You could do something. Maybe.
I'm not saying they're going to, but you could.
I don't hate that idea.
He already has the brick thing.
They would look pretty cool together. I'm not gonna lie. They would look pretty damn cool. So, one thing you can't go, unnoticed with as short as that Starks match was. Boy, oh boy, did he look like $1 million.
He really did. Even just
gear.
In his fucking entrance, his ring gear looked fucking awesome. We talked about it. His wearing the fucking full legging, like
he's a long boy guy. Like all of a sudden, he looked, and they were cool long boys. I'll even go ahead and say this: white long boys on Punk looked way better than the black ones. And
they did,
and that was a smart move, of course, with all the blood that he knew he was going to get to have them like that. As far as gear goes, that was
also
a good looking choice.
What a better way if you're going to go full heel is to wear all the white.
Yeah. Very good point. Harken back to earlier, but Starks.
So that was my bad. That was my bad.
Starks look great though. Starks look great.
Starks did look great. I'm not. See, I just the only reason I'm saying that was bad is I wish they had more time.
And I'm like, here's the problem with that.
I guess they didn't need it, but like,
I think
if you had let them go 10 minutes, I would have been happier.
You're probably right. I think with that one, they did what we wanted with Jungle Boy and Christian, and that they ended the feud. Like they can get away from each other now. And that was an intent. Like they'll come back together later. Starks is going to do his own thing and he's going to rock it. Hobbs is gonna do his thing over here, and he's probably gonna shoot up, right? So keeping them apart for a while might have been that goal, like what they're doing to come back later, and especially if Starks is like, because his baby face, it feels like his baby face like persona, everything about it, the whole character, it really does feel to me like that's the way to go, and it's gonna be successful.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think that you're dead on. You've been a Starks guy for a while.
Yeah.
And I think we all started kind of getting on the train, but you've been shouting it for a while. I think that this is the perfect time to close that chapter, especially if he's going to have that new ring gear and he holds on to it. That was like the entry point to, which actually, you know what, now makes more sense in the fact that it was shorter. I'm okay with that if that happens. So I should stop. I will say that the fucking other women's match was only because you and I kind of talked about it. Jamie Hayter, I think, should have took that.
Absolutely, we'll get to that. But what was your
the
good? If it's not that, well, I mean,
the Elite and Dark Order and Hangman.
It really was that match. I need to rewatch it. I feel like
I almost did. If I had enough time before this, that was the one I was going to rewatch.
It did everything it needed to do, and it gave shine to Silver and Reynolds, which was so just. They
killed it. They took that moment and they delivered.
As much as we love Kenny and the Bucks, and I do,
I would have been happy.
I wanted Dark Order to win that. And
didn't we all call that?
No. I was the only one that called Dark Order. You both called Aussie Open because before the last show, Aussie Open had not lost to the Elite.
You know, I think that we should do something on predictions.
Okay, we can change things up.
I'm just, you're the captain, so you tell me.
I'm open to suggestions.
I'm going to throw out a proposition. You say if you want to work it out, right?
All right, we'll talk about it.
But a lot of times we do have to say something, do our predictions beforehand, right? I would say in any main thing where there is like a tournament or something like that, we get to do that, our prediction, right? But when it comes down to if it's after that,
we get to we can't change any.
You throw something in Gorilla, and you say by this time
on this day we need to
everyone has to respond and no changes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 12 hours before show or something like that, or like whatever it is. Say like.
So you can't go back on any matches that were set that you already made your prediction on. But anything new
we can do predictions for to add to it. I think
that might be a good one.
No, I think that's definitely a decent.
Just throwing it out there might make it a little more interesting. I'm just trying to get my title back.
Oh, I hear you.
I mean, I might be flying to Vegas this week.
Did we do your good?
That was my good.
Oh, which one was it? What did we just do? Trios match. Yeah, trios.
The Elite and
Oh, so okay. Couple of little things within that. I remember saying to you how much I enjoyed the John Silver's crazy ass like reversal that he did.
Oh yeah,
out of the One Wing Angel, right? Like, didn't he?
Yeah. He like rolled him up.
Yeah, he did. Like I've never seen that done before, and
it was like when Kenny brought him down to do it. It was like he rolled him.
He rolled through, and it was really really fucking cool. So yeah, I'll give that definitely, enhanced it for me. I was definitely doubting it up until the very end. Like that one definitely had me on the hook, and a match I wouldn't even mind seeing again. I wonder what, like, if there's nothing going on with Hangman and Punk, like, where are we going with that? And are we going with Kenny, like a Kenny Punk or a Kenny Hangman thing, right? Like, what again? Like, I don't know.
We've already done that.
Exactly, we've already done that. So, I worry about the direction for Hangman and exactly where to take him. That's, I guess, the best way to put it.
I do too, because you've already done the sad cowboy drinking too much. Like, they actually had that when he was drinking. That was so over.
Yeah, it was.
Like, they should have fucking kept rolling with that cowboy fucking beer swilling dude. But then now he just has to get like angry or something again. But what does that do to Dark Order? It's like you and I talked when I was driving from Newark to Scranton a week or two ago for a little bit when we were talking about getting on the show, and we did somewhat talk about this. I think I remember saying something to the effect of like, Dark Order will never be, you know, as big as it was with Brody, and that's okay. And I think it's okay that they know that they should never try to get it there or anything. But does it dissolve, or do you think for the legacy they just keep it kind of there? Because I think that also diminishes it at a certain point. Unless like they're gonna wait till like his fucking like -1 is fucking old, like over 18.
Here's what you do. Eventually, like I don't see them doing anything else with Evil Uno, right? So you got to keep him on the books. 10 Preston Vance will eventually not be Dark Order. He'll move on because I think he's just a young talent with everything going for him. If he's released from the gimmick, it'll happen eventually. Maybe they're trying it out with well, no, he's gone now. Yeah, like I'm trying to think of who's left.
Alan Angels?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, yeah, no, he left.
Yeah, he's gone. That's the thing, is they don't have
So for me, it'll be like what Dark Order will be is not a stable anymore. It'll be a trios, which will be Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Evil Uno. And I think you can, if it's just them, like. Yeah, you can roll your, what are they going to do? But they were so close to winning that trios title, right? Like that, there's a story that you can tell there eventually when they do it. And I can even see Uno, like them focusing more on just the tag team that's basically the Beaver Boys from back in the day, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, right? Like those guys becoming a tag team champion with Evil Uno as a manager, sort of side piece type character. They can take a bump. That's what I see going forward as what the Dark Order is. There's no leader because we all know the backstory to it, but I do think you keep it alive. And I think that like, no matter what, those two guys are going to be a tag team forever anyway. Right. So, no need to rip them apart. They can always have a name, but they can always be Dark Order. And I think all these guys will like even Colt Cabana, like will always be Dark Order deep down and will always throw the claw. But when they need to come together, they can come together, but you're not seeing them as like a huge group out every week on TV. That's what you do with them. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
That's what you probably do.
At what point do you just like make it a legacy though?
I don't know. It's a tough.
I don't know.
It's a tough question.
It's a tough one.
It's kind of uncharted territory when it comes to that. So I'll give you a bad. I'll give you a bad from All Out. What the fuck was Ortiz wearing in that goddamn opening match?
Yeah.
I know it was a Ruby and Ortiz were doing an Aja Kong like reference and everything.
Yeah.
But it looks stupid, and they don't need to be doing that.
No, they don't.
Also, we'll fire through some of these. Kip Sabian losing? I don't know if that's a good idea. Not a huge fan of that. I did think he looked really good. I thought it was actually a really good match. I think the new gimmick, up until he started like talking to the box, I think the new gimmick was kind of working.
It was good until he started talking.
And then he started talking to the box, and I was like, no. I think they just
And he
ruined
also
it.
lost the moment, like I said.
Yeah.
When he actually didn't put it back on.
Yeah. It was cool. He had like two guys with boxes on, like standing next to him when he came out. Like they came out of the tunnels behind him. I don't know if you saw that. Like his entrance. Yeah, he came out, and then they have the two tunnels. So behind him, like two guys kind of flanked him, like with like in shadows, but they were two boxmen.
Which side did he come out of?
I think he came out the heel side. I think he did.
Okay.
I think he did, but I can't be sure. The good though was in this whole scenario was after the match, we had Orange Cassidy come and challenge Pac, which, okay, yeah, that part We've already seen it. That kind of seems dumb to redo that one. Not a big fan of that, but that's why I liked what I'm going to say was Pac's very short promo in which Orange Cassidy music plays, interrupts Pac as he's there like being the bastard after winning and beating Kip Sabian at the top of the stage on an interview with Tony Schiavone. And then he got fucking the music play for Orange Cassidy. He comes out. All Pac says is, no.
No.
He's just, no. He's, I guess they're going to do it again. Fine.
Yeah. I guess. I will say, I wanted to get your opinion on. Oh, I guess you have a good. Sorry.
Oh, I do have a good. Well, let's see here. Okay. How good the match of the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory was. Very surprising that the two of them would have that much chemistry. Also, of course, so surprising how much that audience was so over for the Acclaimed. I've been long proponents of the Acclaimed as well. I think they've done it. I mean,
they have. They deserve it.
I think they're there, and they should be champions by the end of the year. Otherwise, again, you're gonna miss your boat. You're gonna miss your fucking boat. You gotta
do it. You have to do it.
They've done it already. And
yeah, they're fucking there. Give them the titles.
Yep. They're working super good.
I actually don't really care about Swerving Our Glory or Your Glory or whatever it is.
I think I would prefer them not together.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think I'd prefer Swerve to be on Ring of Honor.
I just
and
don't
I think
buy
I'd prefer
it as
Keith Lee to be on AEW.
Yeah, I just don't buy him as a full-on tag team group. Also, I guess at the end of it, Swerve. Did you see Swerve leaving early and going up the ramp? They're not supposed to be, but
they were sort of playing into that role a little bit on the media scrum, where Swerve was more heel and kind of being like, "Nah, they don't deserve it," Keith.
Yeah.
So. I think that that's probably that tag team's probably not long for the world. Let's fire through the rest of the whatever we want to talk about with.
I just wanted to get your opinion on Jericho Danielson.
Okay, it was actually a really decent match. Danielson is incapable of having bad matches, but Jericho looked very good as well. The whole thing.
I found it boring at times though, I felt like sometimes because not because they were doing mat work and grappling. Because that was good. But dude, there were plenty of times. I don't know if it was just the lighting. I don't know if it was the angles. I don't know if it was because it's true exactly what I'm about to say. Jericho looked like he had a bunch of Botox in his face.
Okay, that might be the case. That would not surprise me. I mean, would that surprise anyone? No.
I mean, yeah, it's just... I don't know. I was just like, fuck, dude.
That took you out of the match that bad that you were...
I need to go back and watch it because I feel like it wasn't... I felt like it was going to be a better match. And I wasn't expecting high flying. I was expecting grappling, especially when you're talking Lionheart, right?
Yeah.
Hard hitting,
his the one Lion Tamer in particular looked fucking dope. Gotta give him that. Come on.
That one did. I will give him that. I'm not saying I hated it. I'm not hating on the match at all. I'm just saying
I don't know that Jericho needed to lose or needed to win. I think that was the finish was kind of dumb, but of course it was by cheating and to establish the story further with Daniel Garcia and all that.
Yeah, but then after he did that, the backstage promo with Garcia, he said you're gonna do this without Chris Jericho, and so what is
because he didn't come out to celebrate the victory with the rest of the JAS.
But what is the point of the fucking Lionheart tapping out and losing? Right? On the Dynamite on my birthday on August 3rd,
You talking about
to Mox? That was a big moment for me, just so you know, because you know that I then put in my notice at my work the next day because I've been saying I was going to tap out. Jericho tapped out to Mox, and then Taz said there's no shame in tapping out. And I'd been saying to people, I think I'm close to tapping out. And then watching Lionheart Chris Jericho fucking tap out, and then Taz saying that, and then being like, well, Chris Jericho's reinvented himself a million fucking times. He was just putting Lionheart to bed. And then that was my whole like, it meant so much to me. Then for him to like come back and do that, I'm like, what are you doing? I thought Lionheart was gone. What happened to the Wizard?
And you're also, I mean, the
what
Wizard.
Happened to the fireballs, bitch?
That's kind of the whole point. Is he wasn't the Lionheart in the end. That he couldn't do it with the Lionheart against the American Dragon. That he had to cheat and basically had to turn into the sports entertainer rather than the wrestler of Lionheart to win the match. That was the story.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm for that. Then let me hate on this. The shirtless Gen Zer.
Oh yeah,
fucking who brought in Bryan Danielson, the fucking wannabe Backstreet Boy. He's
I got a tweet.
I
got a good tweet about that. I got a good tweet.
What the fuck was up with that, dude?
Oh yeah, singing. You know,
weird. What was he singing?
Well, he's singing Bryan Danielson's theme song. It
sounded like shit.
Yeah. At a WWE Real One tweeted, "Nah, I'm crying. I thought a woman sung Bryan Danielson theme song this whole time." Also, Teresa was just like, when we were watching it, she's just like, why is he not wearing a shirt? Like, he should be wearing a shirt. Like, you're not wrestling.
Yeah, he's not. Why?
Even Action Bronson, he wore a shirt. And he helped Hook, he's
been on a weight loss journey too. He's looking good.
Yeah.
But
other thing that I thought was slightly humorous was, I mean, first off, like the Wardlow FTR Jay Lethal Motor City Machine Guns match had some great points. They need to obviously do just FTR Machine Guns, like call it a day, but that'd be great. But it wasn't my favorite match by any means. It was cool. They did all the stuff with, the 8-year-old girl stuff, Dax's kid. Like that was sweet. Like I'm not even going to knock that. That actually had its place, and Sanjay did a really good.
I mean, I don't know what I would do if I were an 8-year-old girl going through that, or an 8-year-old boy or whatever. But she just seemed shocked.
She did what she had to do, right? It is what it is.
Just imagine being 8 years old, being like in front of a crowd like that.
It was a total crowd service little moment, and this is what it is. It's fine. I don't hate it completely. Like it's very pandering to, if you're Tony Khan kind of doing this type of thing.
Give me this.
Yeah.
All right, this is how you break down the real forbidden door between AEW and WWE. Let's do triple threat.
Uh-oh.
Let's do -1.
-1. Finley is Dax Harwood's kid. Finley is her name.
Finley.
Oh, I know who you're going to say.
Nicholas.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Triple threat. Someone in Mexico will take that match and book it. AAA, get on it.
Yeah.
But the funniest part of the whole thing was, for whatever reason, Samoa Joe returned. I guess to reignite his feud with Jay Lethal, who he's beat. I guess. Like, that was the only real reason
I don't care.
to show up.
I don't care. He looked like he had gained a bunch of weight. I know he's been filming something. I don't care.
Gassed
you
as
look
fuck.
Gassed. You're gonna hurt yourself. I think you probably already hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And are on
Somehow he bled in the 1 minute he was on television, basically just to do a scare off spot and celebrate with FTR. He was bleeding. Like, why did you blade, bro? Like,
dude, so this is what gets me. So this is what I've been saying the past couple of podcasts.
Is he just clumsy?
Well, we all have as fans these high hopes for someone who did something good in NXT, right? But then are they like the prom king? Like, did they like peak then? Because he is a prime example of brought up to the fucking WWE main roster. He kept getting injured, fucking kept being out, couldn't hold down his fucking storyline. Same thing happens when he comes over here. He gets a fucking title and still can't fucking do it. He looks like shit. And that's what I think where my argument comes from, or at least my opinion, rather, when I've said on the podcast, like, when people are like, oh, this person needs to now jump from AEW to fucking WWE because Trips is there and blah, blah, it's like, no, I don't fucking know, because everyone thought that about Andrade, and like, he looked okay the first couple of matches. He looked better than he had in a long time, but still the rest of it I'm not fucking bought in on.
I feel like there's been some ups and downs with Andrade, but to your point, and it's very interesting because you were just talking about Joe, right, with the ROH. He's got the ROH television title. Why would you not put that on an Andrade? Or even better, why would you not put that on Rush, who has history with ROH? Do at least, I get it, you want to put the belt on Claudio, that's fine. But Samoa Joe at this point, like, have him drop it to like a Rush or an Andrade or somebody that it would have been perfect for a Malakai. It would have been perfect for, actually, it would have even been better on fucking Brody King, right? Like another former ROH guy. Do something like that where, like, bro, like,
you know what it would be better for? I'm gonna blow your mind.
Whoa.
If the Ring of Honor television title had a fucking television show for it to be on.
Right, there's that part too. Yeah, that's
sorry.
There's that.
Had to throw that out there.
Yeah. Real quick, we have to sort of mention the women's four-way. I know we did briefly, but you're right in the fact that Jamie Hayter was just like the most over woman in that match by far.
She definitely was. By
far. I know a lot of people have talked about doing an audible on the Swerve in Your Glory acclaimed thing. But if you're calling an audible on any match, this was the one. Mm-hmm. This was the one to do it, was the four-way, because I don't know that, like, I have nothing against Toni Storm, and I think that she can be quite impressive. Tony Khan sees her as the face of his division. I think he sees her as like the next Britt Baker that he's going to get over, but that's his face, Britt Baker. In a lot of ways, I think he looks at it like that. And it does make sense that they build an actual face, considering what's going on with Thunder Rosa and her possible injuries, whatever's going on, she's out, right? So it does make sense that you're kind of on the road to building a real genuine face, which Rosa was in the beginning. She's kind of just done a piss poor performance of being a champion, if you ask me, and doesn't deserve that belt. I prefer Toni Storm with that belt to her, but I think all of us would prefer Jamie Hayter with that belt, and I think it's time that they give her that much more shine. She's great in the ring. She's like, there's the built-in story with her and Britt Baker. You can turn one of them face, in that whole process. I think the time on Baker being a face might have passed. So I think you got to keep her. I think you got to keep her heel. And the logical thing to do would be to turn Jamie Hayter face over Britt Baker in that feud. And
well, we kind of saw that starting to happen. They're building to that. We saw that happening in that match where Jamie Hayter was going to win, like the 3 count, and then Britt pulled her off. So that, I think, is exactly. I think that's it, and I think she's going to be getting a lot bigger soon. I agree. The crowd was totally behind her. I did think this, and now I'm looking at it. My other 2 screens. I've now pulled up images. My Google searches were Jamie Hayter, AEW All Out, Dakota Kai, WWE Clash at the Castle. They look so fucking similar, and their fucking hair, their ring gear, fucking similar.
You're right in so many ways, but you're wrong in one big one on the back, and I can see that ass from anywhere. As someone said,
Jamie's?
Yeah, Jamie Hayter's got a very distinct booty.
Oh, she does. Yeah, Dakota Kai's a stick figure.
Yeah, compared. But I understand. I understand what you're kind of referring to. Couple of quick ones here. There was that. Of course, the Joker and the ladder match. We talked about it, before. But there's a couple other little fun things. So, the one of the best tweets I saw as this was going on, and we were all guessing, who is that creepy dude with the Rolling Stones song "Sympathy for the Devil" in that mask, and getting the chip from Stokely Hathaway and all his goons, including Big Cass, including the Ass Boys, including Ethan Page. Am I missing any? I feel like I'm missing one. I feel like I'm missing someone. If I'm not,
I actually had it pulled up here on. So it was Stokely, Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty.
That's the one I'm missing. Yeah. So, Cam probably, she posted, "I know MJF's ass anywhere. It's him." and you know what? She wasn't wrong. And there were a couple of definitely signs, like we had guessed it before the end of the show. But even better than all that is, how Jose the assistant is, hanging out with Andrade, Rush, all that, and Rush and Andrade both in the match. So he's got to do double duty. Did you notice that Jose, in between, coming out with Rush first, and taking his mask and taking his the assistant duties, he went back, changed suits, had a different suit.
I did not
when
that.
Andrade came out. Motherfucker had two suits, one ready to go, through on a different suit in between the two. And,
I did not notice that.
And once again, Jose the assistant, he's a champ right there. He's a stud.
He's a champ.
He's a champ right there.
Well done.
I love it. But yeah, with the whole faction, the thing that's happening with MJF and all that, it is interesting to note, of course, that him and Stokely Hathaway have a lot of ties to the indies together. Stokely was his manager once upon a time. It's interesting to note that if you remember that Big Cass was one of the dudes that MJF employed for who was it to face? Was it Jericho? Was it one of the labors of Jericho? No, because that was a different thing. I'm trying to think.
It might have been.
I can't remember at this point, but Big fucking Cass, or whatever is W. Morrissey now, was basically hired back in the day as, by MJF to do his dirty work once again on one of these types of things. So now, if he's got he's got Lee Moriarty, he's got W. Morrissey, he's got the Ass Boys. We're starting something again to where he's got Stokely. This could all work out real well with kind of what I think not the Pinnacle should have been, but what MJF's real stable should have been. Because the MJF was not right for the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle should have been, FTR, Tully, and a guy more old school, older, even, say like a Brock Anderson, right? Or something I don't know, just off the top of my head. But something more like that, not necessarily MJF. MJF and all the characters too strong to be in the Pinnacle. Wardlow was in the Pinnacle. Too strong to be in there with all these other people without getting overshadowed. Did have a big thought on Wardlow. Before we talk about anything else, I have to acknowledge this. I've been very, very bothered with Wardlow's Powerbomb Symphony, Matthew. Bothering
I was
me.
going to say, I think you thought what I was thinking, which was that he's on a cut regimen. He's not building mass right now. He's cutting. He looks a little smaller. He looks a little more
You
cut.
think he does? Yeah, he does. I got no problem with that though.
I have no problem with it. That's what you do when you build muscle. You build up and cut. But I will say, it looks like he's on a cut.
He's still a fucking monster, and he's gonna,
he is.
and he's a goddamn stud. So I love him. But
that was in no way a negative comment.
no, I get it. I get what you're saying.
But I do want to hear all about your Powerbomb Symphony.
So this is the thing. Like Wardlow is doing the Powerbomb Symphony thing has been around for at least 6 months now, at least. It's gotta be. And there's a disconnect. Like the fans want to do something when he's, I guess, warming up the band, tuning up the band, as Shawn Michaels would say, right? For the Sweet Chin Music, tuning up the band. And Wardlow does, play to the crowd. And he does the orchestral thing where he's conducting, right? Like he's doing the motion, he's doing the thing. The problem is there needs to be an audible chant or sing-along for it to make sense.
Well, it's like when Seth Rollins
right.
is doing the whoa.
Seth figured that out, and the crowd does it really well now.
Yeah.
Seth figured that one out tough, and they had to put it in the entrance music for them to, for us to kind of to give us something, right? Now, we all know how Tony Khan likes to license songs and whatnot. So I have two ideas because of how this should go. And both of them are very simple sing-alongs and are often used in, say, like British football events or sporting events, especially by Europeans. And I think one of them would be, both of them could work, right? So everyone knows the Beatles, and everyone knows Hey Jude. This does not require Tony Khan licensing a fucking Beatles song, so don't freak out. But what could be done is you could easily do na 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 na, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Boom. And all he needs to do is sing it once, like I just did terribly in one promo, and sing it once enough to where they already get it, and then they got it, and then it will be sung at every event from now on when he's tuning up the band. Nah, nah. You can hear a crowd doing that, which sound really kind of cool. The other one, it's a little more hokey and probably a little bit more dated, but it's also a na-na type song, and it's easy. Na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. And it works perfectly when you're finishing a dude off with a bunch of power bombs. They just keep singing it as you na na na, and na, number na, 3 na na, hey hey hey, goodbye. Like boom. Those are my two ideas for you as fans to start to so that there's something, so that there's an audible response to his symphony. A symphony needs to have music, and I get part of the symphony is the boom, but you're missing a lot of the symphony. Symphony is multiple instruments, so you're using the crowd as your vocals and your melody, while you are the percussion, Wardlow. Your beats and your boom of the power bomb is part of the fucking song. That's a symphony.
I love that.
How over would that be?
That would be huge. That'd be as bigger than Judas.
I mean, and also just separate him from anywhere else. That's the type of thing, much like a yes chant, that when you go to another company, it's not like you can really copyright it. We all know we don't really do it with Daniel Bryan now, or Bryan Danielson in AEW. It's still there, though. You can take that with you as Wardlow is a superstar as he moves on through his career. If he were to go to WWE, you could hear a na 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 na, right?
Yeah.
And nothing you can fucking do.
100%, nothing you can do. It's an organic thing. I love it.
That was one of my dumb little ideas, my high thoughts that I had throughout this week. And just while we're on the topic of music, this thing was right above it, so I'll just mention it. This was news a couple weeks ago. We never got to it, but it cracked me up, and I'm like, we have to talk about this at some point. So I guess he's Mustafa Ali again, right? He's not just Ali anymore. Like we're okay with a Mustafa.
So, yeah.
Oh, Mustafa. So there was a plan for him at one point to do a gimmick where he used was full, like his full. I think he's like Muslim. I don't know but I know he's like, I think he's Pakistani originally. I can't remember exactly, but he was gonna play upon like the prejudices, of course, but he's was
technically American, but
right. But he would, and I think that plays into what I'm gonna say. He was gonna use Hulk Hogan's "I Am a Real American" theme song. He was gonna come out as Ali, Mustafa Ali, to "I Am a Real American," and I kind of want them to still do it because there's money in that gimmick. Because it's real. Americans don't look all like Hulk Hogan, right? Americans can be from other places. He could still be playing a heel while doing it, but also not like foreign heel in the same way that we've seen foreign heel. It's like, no, motherfucker, like I should be considered a real American too.
Yeah. So I like that because he is American and he is the son of a Pakistani father and his mother was Indian from New Delhi.
There you go.
No, I like that. And he's talked about for a long time wanting to bring that into something. And he's been talking about it recently too, right? About being able to do that. So, because that is a lot of like Americans are people who are just of like descent of immigrants and things like that. But that doesn't make them any less American.
No, exactly. And I think that's an interesting dynamic when the WWE has been so criticized in the past for their stereotypical portrayal of foreign heels, in a sense. This would be a nice kind of like double twist on the whole idea. And I think something that you could play into something positive. That's what I mean by it. That's what I'm trying to get across.
I definitely think you could. And then that when you just said that thing about WWE, so real quick to interject, did you see that tweet that they made about where it just said wrestling?
No.
WWE made a tweet and it just said wrestling.
Just said wrestling. That's cool. I mean, that's fan service stuff. They've been using the term a lot more openly on the product. It's a very small, tiny change that was easy for them to make that garners so much more fan respect. It would be a dumb business move to not kind of been more relaxed on kind of a lot of that stuff, right? The way we've seen it in the commentary, we've seen it the way they've just all in the promos, like it doesn't seem as scripted. It all seems like they've got a little input. They can, they don't have to memorize an entire 4-page like line by line set of dialogue. Like all those types of things have given us, that's why we're so much more interested in the WWE product. Be interested to see what happened on Raw tonight. As we're recording this, Raw's been on, but what we do need.
Remember Kota Ibushi being in the 2016 Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic?
I don't remember him in the Dusty Classic. I remember him being in the Cruiserweight Classic. Ibushi was definitely in the Cruiserweight Classic.
He was in the 2016 Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. He teamed with TJ Perkins and
I don't remember that.
Beat Lince Dorado and Mustafa Ali in the first round qualifiers. Then
it makes sense. It makes sense he would team with TJP. That would have been.
I guess I just always overlooked that.
Was that so? That was after the Cruiserweight Classic.
I'm not sure. Let me find out.
I feel like it must have been. I feel like CWC was one of the first of its kind Speaking of kind of that whole world, as a matter of fact, I didn't get a chance to watch all of it. I watched about three matches from NXT's Worlds Collide. I was kind of surprised.
Did they collide?
They collided. Carmelo Hayes is really good, so his match with Ricochet was cool. Kind of wouldn't have minded if Ricochet won that, but Carmelo Hayes, maybe that was just like a test to sort of like, I think they're getting ready to move him up to the main roster. But I thought that they were going to be doing the same thing with Mandy Rose. I thought she was actually going to be dropping it in a 3-way. She wouldn't have even had to take the pin. And I thought that this whole thing was kind of designed to get her and Toxic Attraction up to the main roster, especially because Toxic Attraction lost the belts. Like, felt like the right time to do it. So I was slightly surprised to see that not happening for Mandy to retain. What I wasn't surprised on was Braun Breaker, of course, beating Tyler Bate for the men's, unifying, of course, the women's, or sorry, the women's. That would be great if Braun Breaker had the women's UK title for some reason. But the men's UK championship, NXT UK championship.
That would totally be like that South Park episode where Macho Man.
So now I guess there's no more UK championship, right? And they've unified the two, and that Braun has it. Surprisingly good match, though. It was a gentleman's showing. It kind of sucks, like, because it shows the direction that they're going in for the company, and that there's gonna, like, and I get it. Look at Braun Breaker. Look at Tyler Bate. Who's gonna sell you more tickets? Who's gonna get more people in the door? Probably Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Until you see the wrestling. And Braun Breaker is an impressive guy for how short of amount of time he's been doing it. But Tyler Bate is so goddamn good.
He is really good.
And it's criminal that, like, you can find, surely you can, someone can find something for him to do. Maybe this is him losing it for him to move up. And I mean, Pete Dunne's on the main roster. Him and Pete Dunne have had how many classics over the years? So if we can find a way, like, here's what you do. You align Drew goddamn McIntyre with Tyler goddamn Bate. For some goddamn, they're both British. You align the two of them together. Drew just lost this big ass match at Clash at the Castle. The fuck's he gonna do? We'll talk about that just now, because it's Clash at the Castle time. Start with the main event. What you think? Was it the right call to keep Roman as the dominant champion and to not put Drew over in his home, we'll say home island? I think they were saying that as well, because it's not his home country, of course. But
so great match. Like, I think there were some good moment, like, that I got some good wrestling from them.
I have been very, very cold on Drew, and I didn't, in this whole build, I'm like, not the guy, right?
I've been bored with him for a long time.
But in like the final 2 weeks up to it, and the promo packages that they did, and then the crowd there, I was ready for him to do it. I was cheering in that match actively. It wasn't I was bored just watching, don't care who wins. I was actively cheering for Drew. They got me. I think it was just the British audience got me into finally believing that it can work.
Yeah, it probably had a lot to do with that. And they actually just, like, let him wrestle a little more and, like, show a few more things.
Match was pretty good. The match was pretty good.
It was pretty good. And I think, and we got to see Roman do more than what he's done with Brock and
show vulnerability.
Yep.
In a big way. Obviously, I'm not going to call it interference because it was one water bottle thrown at Drew by Karrion Kross. Kind of dumb, but I get it. is that just the direction for Kross? Is he going after Drew? Because it would make more sense, really, than Kross and Roman, two big heels. So I think that that's what you're doing with Drew and Kross, is you're putting the two of them together. I don't necessarily think that you're throwing Kross straight at Drew, or sorry, straight at Roman.
No, I don't think so either. And I think what happened there, I think it was at the beginning of the match. I don't really remember, but like, let's say it was the beginning, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Roman was like hesitant to get in the ring or like let it start. And I think like he like walked to the outside or rolled to the outside or something right at the beginning, like before they did anything or something like that.
Yeah,
there was a moment where he did that. And I think that was like very good storytelling in the sense of like, hey, not only because to your point, the crowd and everything and everyone getting behind Drew, then I think that moment in storytelling was like, if someone who's on God mode can like step out for a second and be like, holy shit, now I'm in the ring. Let me reassess real quick. Like, I'm not running away, but I'm reassessing. And it's like, oh shit, he's a bigger deal than I thought he was.
I absolutely love how Drew looks bigger than Roman in the ring. There's not many guys that look like that right now.
It's true.
Drew looks bigger. He maybe isn't quite as wide, but he's taller. And he's got like, he definitely looks the part to be competing with a guy like Roman Reigns. I can understand why they have toyed with the idea. Obviously, it's this huge long-term story with Roman that is probably part of his contract at this point, that he's not dropping it until he says he's dropping it. And I gotta wonder, though, if this is the case with Roman, where we're getting, say, a Kross-Drew feud. What do you do? Because Cody's not there yet. Obviously, we do have Roman on a limited schedule, and you can get through an Extreme Rules without him, but you got to get him on like every third pay-per-view or something, right? So
we'll do Survivor Series.
You would think the Big Four at least, and Money in the Bank, something like that. You would do that. So
they're gonna swerve us. They're gonna make us think we're gonna get a Rock Roman. Rock's gonna put over Cody. Rock's gonna be like, no, you can handle this.
That would kind of be funny if they did something like that. I wouldn't even hate that. That's actually pretty cool. My suggestion at this point is, we don't know how far off Orton's injury is. I think they're I think they're waiting on. They've been real quiet about that, and I think that's almost telling. Like, when it's like a 2 year or like a year long injury or something, or like a Big E situation, they're gonna let you know. They haven't said a word about what Orton's, and I think that's like, it's suspicious by the absence of them saying anything.
Almost like people in AEW not saying anything about MJF being gone, or not MJF, Punk being gone when he fucking broke his foot jumping.
Almost like there was no comments from Tony Khan or the Bucks or anybody today about anything. Almost like there was no BTE that's usually posted by 12 noon on Mondays. Stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe, but it's interesting again. Like, I think that the quickest thing that you hop to, right, is well, if they didn't do it with Drew, it's gotta be Cody then, right? But then that means if you're doing Rock, fucking Roman and Mania, then how do you have? Where are we doing it? I don't know. I guess
he's not gonna lose it till Mania.
One would think. But
I mean, I guess they've taken it this long, and also that begs the question: whoever is after Roman, like not directly after, how long do you think until someone gets even close to beating this title reign? A decade, 2 decades?
I think you've got to do a Roman 2-night Mania. And I think one night of Mania is for one of the belts, and one of them is for the other set of belts. So Roman can have 2 matches. He can lose one to Cody, and he can beat Roman, and Cody and Roman can both still be champions and separate the belts.
God, it's such a long way to get there.
Yeah, but it's the only thing I can think of. How else do you fucking separate them things? I don't know what you do. What else did you like from the Clash of the Castle? I got one match in particular I liked. Well, I got a couple. It wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It for WWE, it was a B. It was a B pay-per-view. I called All Out a B-, but a B- to AEW is a B+. So AEW still gets the better pay-per-view, in my opinion. But B, yeah, a B, yeah.
But it wasn't. But this was definitely a good pay-per-view. I will say that, like, even though this thing with Roman, I did see people online being like, "Fucking Trips fucked it up, man. That was it."
No,
and I was like, such a fucking easy thing for you to like go to that trip. And I'm like, also, there may have been a lot of long-term booking that we're not aware of, like, in play, that he's keeping in play. Like, you can't just think that he's gonna. I don't know. I mean, he could, I guess, but.
And I could see him not necessarily being like, all right, I think Drew
like,
was. I think
everything.
Drew was always kind of a Vince project, right? That was brought back through NXT with Trips, but he didn't have that long in NXT. And he even got injured, and then when he got injured, he got brought up straight to the main roster after he got injured. So I don't think he's a Trips. Drew's not a Trips guy, whereas he was a Vince guy. And I think that, you can argue that maybe there's a longer thing there. Like, no, like, we're gonna still keep Drew hot. He's worth, keeping up in kind of the main event scene, but not our guy right now. That's kind of how I see it. And like, I think if it was a different champion and a different title reign, 100% would have happened. But not with Roman's over 2-year reign, not with, like, whoever beats him is like the rub that's going to come on that, like, how, like, amazing they're going to look, and they're going to elevate their superstars elevated. So that, like, but they did give Drew huge entrance, big props. Like I said,
they built it up bigger with Roman. Like, they gave, like, and I think that was more of like, hey, you're actually getting a moment because you didn't get your WrestleMania moment. You did it in the Thunderdome. Like this, like, you're getting this in front of, like, your
in
home
front
island,
of the UK
like
fans.
this thing, and like, because then they gave him the time at the end with whatever Tyson Fury. I mean,
whatever that sing-along.
So that was so weird. And then he wanted to sing another, like, so I thought that, like, when Tyson Fury was singing, that people were gonna, like, start singing, and then they really didn't. And then Drew's like, "Oh, let's do another one. I don't know the verse, but I know the chorus." And I'm like, what is happening here? This is, like, kind of off the rails.
So everybody in the UK knows Sweet Caroline. They don't know American Pie. Why would they?
But
I think
why
Tyson
would
Fury
choose that.
Well, I think Tyson Fury fucked it up and was supposed to sing Sweet Caroline that first time and didn't. I think he fucked it up because he's a moron, and he's like, "Oh, you know that song that we sing?" And, like, he thought it was a different song. He just didn't know it or something, and then started singing American Pie, or learned the wrong one. He thought, like, "Oh, we were gonna sing this one," so he learned the lyrics to the wrong song, and then you know what I mean? The whole thing played out.
I could see that
super awkwardly, and it was not the greatest send off for the fans. Like, I still think that
it was awkward.
It was awkward. It was still a good pay-per-view, and I still think the UK fans absolutely did enjoy it. They're gonna be back there. Like, they're idiots if they don't do another UK pay-per-view. I mean, I think you're idiots if you don't do that annually. It would make the most sense, really, to do that, because of, I mean, you just did 60,000+, and that wasn't even WWE numbers. That was like inflated numbers. Like they did a legit sellout from everything that I'm seeing. So that Matthew just ran away. But it was a good show. I think the biggest takeaway from everything for me wasn't any of the matches, even though Seth versus Riddle was really good and Shamus versus Gunther was an amazing display of just brutality. Reminded us all of who the fuck Gunther is. Great to see Imperium back together with him. And also reminded us who Shamus was as well. And the standing ovation he got at the end of that was a well-deserved. And but I think the entirety of the pay-per-view was elevated by how amazing the crowd was. And people will say Chicago crowds are the best, but give me any crowd in the UK over them. They're always better. They're always more creative. Like that's how you get involved with a show without making it about your fucking selves. That's what they were doing the whole entire time. And yeah, like I think my match of the night was Seth and Riddle. I think it was. I really enjoyed it. I don't know why, but Sheamus and Gunther was my close second, and then Drew Roman was my third.
Yeah. I'm looking right now. The crowd was not hype on Liv.
I don't think anybody is at the moment.
I don't think anyone, but her entrance, like, she did not get a pop.
No, she didn't.
That match, that was my bad.
Matches, top 10 highest rated matches of the week. Do you want to guess which is number one? Remember I said
highest matches of the week.
Highest rated matches of the week. So just think of it of like, there's only one. There's a match from Noah, which I have no idea. It's just yeah. So that one we can forget about. So top 9, but all the other ones are either from All Out, Clash at the Castle, or Worlds Collide. Who do you think got number 1, bro? But this is cage match. This isn't Meltzer any star rating. This is cage match. So think like fan service. It goes more towards fan service rather than critic, if that makes you know like
yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's so much that happened.
As of the time of me looking it up, it was at a 9.29 out of 10, which is an insanely high rating. That will go down.
Holy shit.
But top 10 highest matches of the week. Number 1. Swerve in Our Glory in the Acclaim.
What?
Yeah. That's getting the highest rating right now on Cage Match. Next to that in number 2, Gunther and Sheamus. Number 3, The Elite versus Dark Order and Hangman Page in the trios match. Number 4, Elite versus United Empire, which of course was earlier in the week.
That was a good match.
And was actually fucking unbelievable. CM Punk and Moxley was number 5 from All Out. Braun Breaker, Tyler Bate gets number 6 with Worlds Collide. Carmelo Hayes, Ricochet at 8. I skipped over number 7 because it's Hideki Suzuki versus Katio Kiyomiya from Noah, and an N1 victory for something. Don't know anything about it. Don't know those people. My bad. Number 9, Matt Riddle, Seth Rollins.
Okay.
Number 10, Kingston and Tomohiro Ishii from All Out. That match was brutal. That was brutal.
Yeah.
Top 5 lowest matches of the week. So this goes in like kind of reverse order. So the worst match is the last one that I'll read.
Okay.
Ortiz and Ruby Soho versus Sammy Guevara and Tay Mello, All Out 2022.
Yep.
Number 4. So worse than the last one. Worse. Ortiz and Ruby Soho versus Sammy Guevara and Tay Mello from AEW Rampage.
Yes.
The first one was a 5.18. Then this next one was a 5.05. Then number 3 here, Caden Carter and Katana Chance versus Nikki Ash and Doudrop in NXT Worlds Collide, 4.71.
Didn't see it. Okay.
I don't know if I agree with this, but I think it's probably just because of how popular Starks is, but 4.66. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks, AEW All Out 2022. And the lowest rated match of the week, Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah versus Io Sky and Dakota Kai on WWE Raw with a 4.19. Highest rated show was WWE's Clash at the Castle. And there you go.
All right.
That's
I can't say not a bad list for like both of them. Like, I mean, here and there I would pick and choose, but overall I can't.
It's like pretty accurate.
Disagree. Yeah, it's fairly accurate.
It's pretty accurate.
Good job, wrestling fans.
Yeah, they're not always terrible. They're not always the worst.
Yeah, well, when they just have to vote anonymously and they don't have to like fucking smark it out like we do for hours on end, giving our opinions.
I got, we'll wrap this up here with this. I got this last question. Unless you got anything you want to throw in there and feel like I
think we've covered a lot. I don't think there's anything else.
A lot more
really bring up right now. I think, it'll be interesting. So let me ask you this. This is one good question, I think.
All right.
Out of everything that has happened, whether it be WWE, AEW, these were both fairly big, although All Out is like a big 4 for fucking AEW, right? But
Sure.
Clash of the Castle was a big deal. What would you want, and this doesn't have, just like with the landscape right now, this does not have to be like it's actually going to happen, but if you were booking, what is the one thing you would book and like to see fucking go over in any promotion of wrestling with the landscape? So you can't like make something up that hasn't happened with everything that just happened.
Right. Like I don't know. I don't like thinking of it that way, to be honest. Because I want to be surprised, and.
But this is like if you were a booker, what would be the one thing you would book out?
What
of
would
all
I
this
do?
That you would be like, this is the storyline I would do.
Turn Miro babyface and make him the world champion.
Okay.
In WWE.
Okay, maybe this was a bad question.
Well, you asked what I want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny because this kind of ties in. I read a little thing about Jake Roberts. He did a couple interviews the other day, right?
I'm sure he did.
And you know what? I think I'm gonna Jake Roberts answer your question as if you asked that same question to Jake Roberts, but Jake Roberts could book himself and other people around him, right?
Okay. I love this.
Okay, so Jake Roberts says him, Raven, and Bray Wyatt could have gotten maximum response from minimal physicality if we were wrestling together. We would have rocked the world, brother, and never had to lock up. Just look at each other. So there you go.
And that would be their name, Maximum Response.
Yeah, Maximum Response.
Just look at each other, brother.
I had to
do nothing.
Okay, so I had a more hypothetical question for you, but see, I don't like getting too far into fantasy booking because I can just go too deep and I'll be here forever. And there's
I know that's why I just said like one thing.
Yeah, I know, and there, like it spirals out of control, right? Like I want a million guys to get their moment in the sun. But the sun's only so big. And so you gotta, like, there's only so many spots. And what makes people holding belts on to them for so long and being in the top spot is what makes them special. And, like, it's part of the game, right? Like, if you hot potato a belt, Now the belt means nothing when you give it to somebody. So it's a balance. It's all about the balance. And yeah, like there are guys that I feel like definitely deserve more of a spotlight, but there's only so much spotlight to give them on national television. If I were to do anything as a booker, I would right now, I would just, if I'm Tony Khan in particular, I'm fucking splitting them rosters. I'm ROHing, I'm AEWing, and I'm splitting them, and you're going here, and I'm fucking selling a TV show with these guys, because I know that's a lot easier said than done, but I think the time is coming where it has to happen, and this is a question that ties into that, which I was going to ask you. If Vince McMahon retired about 6 years ago, would AEW exist? And it's a tough one because we could never, 5-6 years ago, we never would have even thought that this would have been a possibility, right?
I don't think they would be as popular. I
think TNA level, maybe, kind of, or
I think you would still be in that level. And I only say that because of what we're already seeing with Vince being gone is it would have just become NXT anyway.
You're probably right, and I tend to agree that it would still exist.
They would have just done a better job with Shinsuke. They would have done a better job with a lot of the people that they brought up.
The roster would look completely different, probably.
It would look completely different, but I still think that you would still need an option. I just don't know if AEW would be as big, and I don't know if you would have been able to make the statements.
Well, that's interesting,
and position
right?
yourself in the way.
I think the AEW had its initial success for sure was based upon how bad WWE's product was. We were so desperate and craving an alternative, a viable alternative on that level of production and storytelling and access and all the things that we have come to like from the WWE. You know, we want that, but be good now. So without that, it wouldn't have ever, yes, you're right. It would have existed, but it probably wouldn't have come to prominence in the way that it has. It took WWE being so shitty for somebody to come, have to make an alternative viable.
Yeah. It grew out of a necessity. For some reason, I'm going to say it, fantasy booking. It came to my mind. I can't get it out until I say it. Eddie Kingston versus Booker T.
I'd watch that, I guess.
I don't know why I'd watch that, but I would. Because I feel like Booker T would just speak straight truth, and Eddie Kingston would get mad and
partner, Booker, partner, and Booker, the way he could say it. Oh, he could do some stuff with promos just with his enunciation.
They could slap each other around. It'd be fun.
I love partner. I love it. Okay. Last little this is another Owen. This is an end of your show. Quandary. Quandary? Right. Is that it? Quandary. Is that a
quandary?
Word?
Yeah, it's a word.
I think it's a word. I think it applies. So do you know douchebags that get custom license plates? They go to the DMV, when they get their license plate, they get if you're a stockbroker, you get STK BRKR, you know what I mean?
A money sign.
Yeah.
Quandary, a state of perplexity or uncertainty over what to do in a difficult situation.
Well, I got a quandary. I got a question and a hypothetical, because you understand the type of person that I'm talking about that is narcissistic enough about them or their gimmick. For instance.
Do you know that those people who get vanity plates, they have to pay a fee every year?
Oh yeah. It's extra. You got to pay extra for all that.
You got to pay extra to make yourself look even more like an asshole.
Yeah. So I was wondering what wrestlers you think have gimmick license plates that are their gimmick.
Oh yeah.
That still exist, and who are they? And what does it say? Because
do they have to be like still wrestling, or can they be legends?
Oh, play however you want.
I will say that the one that I will let bypass all of this, and I'm sure he has it, is fucking Steve Austin.
Oh yeah,
I'll let him bypass that all day long. Though he does not fall into that douchebag category.
He can do STN, like CLD. Stone, yes,
or Broken Skull, or
Broken
something.
Skull could do that one, yeah.
The Rock could do it, but he's the type of guy who won't.
See, I'm okay with that. What I want is the type, like, I want Peter Avalon to have a vanity, like a pretty P.
I was gonna say Jack Gallagher.
Yeah, pretty P license plate. Like, I want, like that'd be good.
I could see
I want Pentagon Jr. to have a license plate that says Pentagon Jr. and you're like, wait a minute, but he's not wearing a mask. Like he forgets.
Or it's
like
just a zero.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, for sure.
Fucking CM Punk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's got Larry 1, Larry 2.
Yeah,
like,
he's one. Yep. Exactly.
That's how. Yeah, that's how
he is. God, there's got to be some other good ones.
I want Bray Wyatt to have Fiendin somehow.
Fiendin?
Like Fiendin.
That shit's hilarious.
I don't know. I think this is a good game though. Every week we need.
I think EC3.
Yeah.
Type of guy. Braun even. Any of those control your narrative.
Oh, well, they've got one of them's got CYN, and then one of them's got CYN1, and one of them's got CYN2. Like that's how they do it. Like that's there.
I could see fuck, what's his name? He's just training now. Fuck, he was like the pirate.
A pirate
and not like a full-on pirate.
Pineapple Pete, remember that guy? I want Pineapple Pete that Chris Jericho like made famous for a week. Like, and he called him Pineapple
Jericho's got
Pete.
a Judas license plate.
Oh, he's got
yeah. Or Jake Hager. He gets it changed every time he has a Bellator fight, so it always has his record.
There's a Fozzy one. There's definitely a Fozzy one. There is a
Brian Kendrick. He's probably got one.
The real license plate. How do you?
Yeah.
It's like the rural drink. Like it's something like that. I like this game. This game
is a good game.
Yeah, The Rock has RCK BTM. He's got RCK BTM. Yeah.
Fiendin is the one.
Fiendin though, yeah. Fiend. I imagine it like Bray, like I'm fiending, but he's like more disco dancing, right? Like he's in. Yeah, he's
in like one of those old school cool cars with the flames on the side.
Yeah.
But he's like,
totally. That's it.
Yeah. But he's got like the cool glasses on, like a little top hat.
Oh,
dude, I will say, Jeff Hardy.
Oh,
he would have one, but he can't drive.
That is good. What's Nick Jackson's? What's his new one? Nick Jackson's.
Oh God. KO'd.
Sleeping good. SLPNGDD. Guys, it's been another wonderful edition of the Ono Wrestling Podcast. Hopefully, we should be back next week. I'm going to do next week. I'm sure we'll find a will if we find the way. And we will indeed be back on our Twitch live stream, twitch.tv/ONRS live. Of course, Ono Radio Show, OnoWrestling.com. Anywhere you find your podcast, just Ono Wrestling. That's the easiest thing to do if you like the craps. Ono Radio Show if you want to hear all the other shit I do. Whew. Matthew, it was a lot of fun. But that was a long, exhausting episode.
Not a wrestling.
Well, I mean, I think we covered it well with our journalistic integrity.
Yeah, we did a full Raw's worth.
I feel as old as Sting right now. I feel as old as Sting.
Are you gonna spit something up later?
Maybe. And as our good friend Sting likes to say, what do we say when we get out of here, Matthew? Woo!